Welcome back to Stavanger, Norway for the 2021 World Open Equipped Powerlifting Championships, brought to you by none other than the IPF, Eleco and SBD, and some of the great sponsors that have stood behind this sport for so long. I am Gary Williams and I'm here with Joe Whiteley, and we're going to take you through the afternoon session. We've got quite an interesting session lined up. What we have here is we have the 63 women and the 83 men. And we've divided it into the B group and the A group. So we've got the B groups today, and then later this evening we will have the A group. So it's quite challenging for the athletes here as well, because usually what would happen is we would run them simultaneously and you can see what the other athletes are doing. So it's quite a challenging situation for the athletes here. And of course in the women's we have quite a small group, so we have 3 lifters. They will lift, they will take a break for 4 minutes, and then they will do their second lift in the squats as well. And then once they've done, we'll move into the men as well. So quite a challenging situation for the athletes, and I mean, basically what they're going to have to do is put their numbers on, pull the best they can, and then they have to wait till this evening and see if they were able to challenge someone in that A group at all as well for any of the medals in any of the lifts at all.
That's it. It is going to be challenging, and of course the reason that they're getting that 4-minute break is because of the IPF rules that in order that the athletes are not. I mean, these guys and girls are equipped, so there's literally not enough time to get the wraps on and off and get themselves recovered and all that kind of thing. So in order that they can have a fair competition, the absolute minimum is that they do 3 lifts and we have a 4-minute break. But, yeah, that is going to be challenging.
Yeah, look, it's going to be challenging for you. But, you know, this is sport. And in all sports and all, especially powerlifting, there's plenty of challenges that come along the way. Well, we're getting underway here.
So this is Megan Layton of South Africa. Recently qualified as a Category 1 referee. She's currently South Africa's youngest Category 1 referee. From a strong powerlifting family. Heather Layton, also a referee.
Yeah, there's certainly plenty of history of powerlifting in that family, and at 25 years of age, she is certainly no stranger to competition either.
Absolutely not. So 130 kilos on the bar for her opener. There is another South African lifter in this flight, Mionde Wet. Again, from a very strong powerlifting family. And let's see how that was for Megan. That is a good lift for her.
Starts off really well.
So Mionde Wet, 165 kilos, also from South Africa.
Yeah, she's been competing quite actively this year. She picked up a bronze medal at the 2021 World Women's Classic Sub-Juniors.
She's been utterly destroying the African and the Commonwealth records as well.
So she's also, to note, a sub-junior.
She is, yeah.
Competing here at the World Open Championships. What an opportunity.
That's right. Well, see how she handles this one.
And that is no small opening lift either, 165.
Certainly not. Oh, I'm sorry, no.
And
Reds
doesn't get down there. Let's have a look at the replay on that.
I mean, it looked reasonable to me, but as we always say, we're not in the best position. It does kind of look parallel from the side view, doesn't it?
Yeah, and look, she does have long lever arms as well, so she's got to make it that extra bit convincing.
That's true. So, Laura Salita of Italy, coming out for 210 kilos. Again, we can't really talk about placings here because the A group will follow. And on nomination, those ladies are going to be lifting more weight. Obviously, this is powerlifting. Anything can happen.
So 210 on the bar.
I remember in Helsingborg, there was an A and a B group running at the same time. And one of the lifters in the B group actually took bronze medal overall, if I'm not mistaken.
So the focus here then for these ladies is to just to put their best numbers on they can. And see if they can rattle some cages in the A group.
Yeah. Similar in a way to what happened in the last session, really, because Anna Rosa Castellane, everybody was talking about Kruger coming through, but Anna Rosa just quietly put her lifts in.
And that looks pretty good.
Yeah, guidance from the coach on the sidelines, so which you often see in equipped competition. You'll often have a coach shout when to go back up, which is not against the rules of competition. That's a good lift for her. So we're into the 4-minute gap now. So
what's interesting here, and I think what's really important is, so Salita has a 210 opener. Yeah. And it's actually a pretty high nomination in regards to squats. She really needs to push on that third squat a little bit, because I think she's in a pretty good position where she might actually challenge some of the lifters in the A group later this evening as well. Yeah. And if she can put a big squat on the board, she might just rattle them enough for some of them to change their openers, to change their numbers, and actually sneak through and steal a medal there as well.
Cat among the pigeons as well. I mean, as we've seen in many sessions, if one person starts up in their opener, everybody else follows, and you can end up with a sea of red, can't you?
Yeah, look, and the other side of that too is when we talk about it being challenging for these ladies, it's also going to be a little bit challenging for the A group as well, because usually when you're competing, you can look at the board, you see who's coming up behind you. Is my bronze medal for the squat in jeopardy if I push this? You're not going to see it coming in that response. I mean, usually you're seeing the numbers go in, so it's going to be challenging on both sides.
Yeah, it's not so bad for the ladies, I think, because they've only got 3 lifters to keep track of.
But the men's, we're going to have 11 in the B group, I think.
That's
so
true.
It's going to be really tough for the guys in the A group this afternoon. And having a big B group means these guys are going to push themselves a little bit as well, because you want to finish on top of the B group.
You do.
It's going to give you the best potential to push your numbers against the A group. So it's going to be tough for those guys this evening. They're not going to have the advantage of seeing these guys lifting, coming up behind them. They're not going to see the coaches going to the board to make changes and things like that.
Nope.
So it's going to be challenging right across the board. Well, we've got a couple of minutes before these young ladies come out for their second lift. And of course, we should mention a big shout out to our major sponsors, Alico, who have stood behind the IPF and so many sports for such a long time. They are the #1 name in strength sports around the world. They're the #1 name in powerlifting. They're the #1 name for platform equipment all around the world. And the reason for that is they're the #1 product.
Yeah, it's absolutely the best, isn't it? You know, you ask anybody, ideal dream home gym, whose bar are you going to buy?
It's Alico.
There's only one answer, and it's Swedish steel.
And of course, SBD, who've also stood behind the sport as well. And both of these organisations don't just stand behind the sport, they stand behind quite a number of athletes as well.
They do.
And you'll see a number of athletes coming out wearing all the SBD gear. That's because some of these athletes are sponsored in different ways and supported by SBD. You'll also see a number of athletes coming out in all SBD gear just because it's the best you can buy.
That's true. It's worth mentioning as well that Alico really pulled something out of the bag a month ago for the World Classic Championships, which was actually held in their headquarters. They gave us some of their office space for break rooms and things like that.
Yeah, look, and they put that together in, I think, under 3 months or something like that. Yeah. They put that whole thing together with less than 3 months to organise it.
They did.
Absolutely fantastic.
It was a great place to be, because you kind of going, oh, we need some, maybe we need an extra bar. I'll just have a word. I think they've probably got some in the warehouse.
Yeah, look, it was a great place to be. I did hear for some it wasn't a great place to be if you were in the Alico store with a credit card.
Well, buy cheap, buy twice.
I know if I was there, it would have been a little bit dangerous for me to be in the Alico store with a credit card. I might have come home in debt.
I did come home with a very, very nice T-shirt, I have to admit.
How big is my suitcase? Can I fit an Alico bar in there at all? Well, we are 5 seconds away now from getting this second round of squats underway. And even with that extra 4-minute break in there, this is going to be really tough session for these young ladies.
It's tough. A 7-minute turnaround. Even if you come out and you see that you've got a 7-lifter group, you're kind of going, oh, this is going to be close.
Yeah, and when you've got a 7-lifter group, it's a little bit more than 7 minutes. You've got a bit of time between lifts where they're loading the bar, so your minute adds up to a minute and a half. So really, it's a 10, 12-minute turnaround. When you've got 3 lifters and a 4-minute extra time on there, it really is a very quick turnaround.
Okay, so here comes Megan. 135 on the bar this time. She's only gone up 5 kilos. Saying that, though, her first lift extended her squat PB by 5 kilos.
Yeah, I sort of expected her a little bit more on the second. The first moved quite well, but she has the experience and the knowledge to know where she needs to be. It's quite an interesting technique tying the wraps there. Oh, depth is pretty much spot on the money there.
I would say so, yeah. Just waiting for the centre referee's vote. Here it comes. Yeah.
Now,
no issues.
That's an interesting squat because I would suggest you could probably even tighten up those wraps a little bit more.
Well,
because depth was right on the money.
So here comes Devet. Going out for 172.5.
Yeah, she missed her opener at 165. She's off to throw on a bit more weight here.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how it goes. You either take some weight off because you were having trouble standing up with it, or you chuck some more weight on because you were having trouble sinking it. And I think Devet has fallen into that second category.
Yeah,
there.
so she opened at 165. Just couldn't really get to depth. Gone to 172.5. And let's hope this pays off. It's always a risky decision adding more weight when you haven't got one on the board. A lot more common in equipped lifting than it is in classic.
Yeah, well, in classic you shouldn't really have any problems getting down. Let's see how that looked.
Looked better, and the referees agree.
They
it's
do.
3 white lights, and she gets that on the board.
Game on. Okay, here comes Laura Salita, 2:15 for her second attempt for the Italian lifter.
Yeah, look, I'd really want to see her put a really big third squat on. I think she has the potential to put some real pressure on the A group lifters this evening.
I think so.
Yeah, and the bar is loaded for Laura. Maybe find herself on the podium.
That's a funny one, isn't it? Because I presume they're gonna hang around and watch the competition, so that if they do end up on the podium, obviously the last session tonight is live on Eurosport. First time powerlifting has been on Eurosport for quite some time, so we're all looking forward to that. I believe it's 1900 hours local time on Eurosport.
It will be.
2. So here's Laura. 2:15. It's looking heavy the way she's handling it.
Well, that is a huge amount of weight.
Oh.
And just didn't really get the power out
too
of the
much.
suit or the wraps there. Yeah, it wasn't a huge jump from 210. Her 210 moved really well. Let's have a look and see just where it sort of goes wrong.
Maybe she just didn't get the bounce right.
Yeah, there was no bounce there. Knees dropped in.
Yeah.
Look, she'll correct that. That's not a difficult one to correct, that one at all. So, you know, you can't correct when something's too heavy.
No.
But you can correct some minor things like knees dropping in and stuff like that. You know, a few cues from the sideline can really get that information going. Coaches yelling out, knees out. Just to remind you, when you walk out there for the squat on the world stage, you've got cameras, you've got lights, everything's going on.
Yep.
And you've practiced everything a million times over. It's so easy to forget.
So you were talking about wrapping technique on knees.
Yeah, look, I mean, everyone has their own way of wrapping, their own way of tying it off, their own way of tying things off, and it's quite a personal thing as well, how you want them to sit. There are some techniques on where you want the wraps to be and things like that. You can also change how long across the limb you wrap, which changes the potential energy as well.
Okay.
So it's quite a personal thing. And the timing of it is really challenging, and you don't want to be standing there in those wraps for any longer than you have to. And you know, when you come off, I mean, when you finish your squat, the first thing you want to do is get those things off your legs.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very, very difficult to walk in them. We've certainly seen in the past lighter lifters, the coach will come and pick them up and run off with them. So they don't have to bend their knees.
It is, and it is really difficult to walk in them. I mean, the whole point behind them is to build up that potential energy. So the more you bend, the more potential energy builds up. And we just saw in that last lift there from Salita, I mean, she didn't really build up the potential energy. She didn't get to that point of the bend in the knee wrap or the suit where that energy was building. So there was no release, so she couldn't really fire it up at all either. So wrapping is really quite particular. The other thing that's quite challenging in equipped lifting is getting in and out of your suits and your shirts. I mean, it's not a 30-second job of putting on a t-shirt.
No, absolutely not. I've certainly seen at a British Championship quite a long time ago a very, very small lifter, probably a 47 or maybe even a 42 kilo, being put into a squat suit by a dad who had hold of the straps of the squat suit and was bouncing her up and down.
shaking her up and down, get into the suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, we talk about turnaround times. You know, I know for myself, putting on my bench shirt, you know, it's not something that takes me 30 seconds or a minute to do. It's a long process of getting in. So when you've only got, in some flights, 20 minutes of turnaround time, when you've got to get into your shirt, you've got to get your warm-up in, that is a real challenging thing to do. And you want to have a team of people out there helping you with that as well.
Yeah, it's. I think there are a few lifters out there who get into their equipment on their own. I know Tony Cliff from the UK does it, but he is definitely the exception rather than the norm.
I'm just picturing the size of Tony Cliff. He's not a lightweight lighter. I'm just imagining him getting into a shirt on his own. That would be quite the challenge.
He does it. He definitely does it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of challenges with equipped lifting, and I mean, we'll take you through. I mean, obviously in the squat, we're wearing a squat suit and knee wraps. In the bench, we're wearing the bench shirt, and in the deadlift, we've got our deadlift suit on as well. The bench is probably where we can do, I guess, maybe the most tactical adjustment. I mean, in the squat, there are some things we can do with the knee wraps and some adjustments to the squat suit as well. But in general, I think the bench probably gives us the most room to play, and also which also makes it probably one of the most difficult as well.
Well, it's very tactical, isn't it? Because you're not shifting as much weight, so the gains that you're getting back are smaller. So anyway, we have gone through our 4 minutes gap. So 140 is on the bar now for Layton.
Yeah, so she had a good opening lift, good second lift, and she's stuck with that same plan, 5 kilos, 5 kilos, 5 kilos.
Yep.
And looking for 140. And this is a monstrous personal best for her.
Yeah. Coach Shantz sending her out onto the platform there.
And the bar is loaded.
I believe they run a gym together. So she's looking very focused.
So she has squatted 140 before. She squatted 140 at the World Junior and Sub-Junior in Potchefstroom, South Africa, back in 2018.
Okay, so our cards are maybe a little out of date.
But it has been a while since she's done that.
Absolutely no argument about the depth.
Yeah, she hits that depth well. And that depth really uses those wraps really very well, and the squat suit.
It's a delicate balance, isn't it? If they're too tight, you're not getting down. If they're too loose, you're not going up.
And
okay, so here comes Michon Duet. 15 years old.
And you've got to take
Coming
your hat
out
off.
for 180 kilos.
You've got to take your hat off to her. 15 years old. She's here competing at the Opens.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. It's not her first World Championship.
No, and both parents have represented South Africa in the past as well.
She was in Harmstead this year.
Second generation lifters. I'm not sure about the depth there at all, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and the referees aren't sure about it either.
2-1 on deck.
Unfortunately, that is no lift.
She has one in.
Ugandi, Irumi,
as does Laura Salita, coming out for 2:15 for the second time of asking. Now, it just looked too heavy, didn't it? The knees went in, which is a key indicator on squat. That
yeah, look, I think she can easily fix that, though. I mean, the great thing about squat is that quite often, you know, the tiny little technique things is the one that throw it off. If your knee drops in, you've lost all the power. You can't get into position. So we will see.
I'm sure she's had a few encouraging words from her coaching team.
And she takes the bar with some good confidence there, which is a really good sign. She's just not getting the bounce out the bottom there either.
Did they take that a little early, maybe?
No, I think she started to twist quite badly there.
There we go. We saw the coach pick her up and take her off. You don't need to walk in those anymore.
So she gets a 210 on the board, and she'll have to see how that one fares up later on. And then right now we will move straight into the 83 kilo men. Yep. And there are some big numbers on the board.
Yeah, because usually at this level the numbers are quite similar, aren't they? If you go to the lower levels of competition where you've got 2 or 3 classes running at once, then yeah, sometimes on the bench they're going from 240 kilos down to 40.
Yeah, they've got their work cut out for them.
They have.
So we've got 180 on the bar.
Yeah, this is Miquel Ugandi of Estonia. I wasn't sure if he had a suit on them, but I can just see the straps. It's not unknown for lifters to not necessarily wear the suit on their first lift to make sure they get one in, but that doesn't seem to. Oof.
Sinks into the hole very quickly there.
He's not giving him a chance to argue about the depth there, is he?
Gets it on the board. So he did a 195 this year at Western European men's equip. So
Chima, Saunders, Wu.
Okay, so this is Andre Irimi of Romania.
Yeah, 200 kilos.
Again, these guys are really, they're kind of fighting. They're fighting ghosts, aren't they, really? Because they're not sure what the A group are going to be doing.
Well, your main aim and your main job here is you want to get as high in this group as you can in each of the lifts and your total, of course.
Yeah, in the hope that maybe some of the A group are going to have a problem, move you up.
Sinks into that great technique.
Yeah, no issues there for me.
Absolutely spot on the money with the technique. Just drops into the bottom. You can see good control coming down. Drops into the depth. Gets the spring out. Absolutely spot on.
Okay, so this is Jazvinder Singh, Chima. One of, I think this is Little Jazz. There is a Big Jazz as well. I'm not sure if they're related or not. There are quite a lot of Singhs in powerlifting from the UK. But this is Jazvinder Singh Chima. 215 kilos on the bar for him. Very experienced lifter. Masters 1, I think.
He is a Masters 1 at 47 years of age, born in 1974. So he handles the weight well. Let's see what they say about depth. Not deep enough. He gets 2 red cards there, actually.
Did look parallel from the side. So this is Tom Saunders, also of Great Britain. 235 kilos on the bar for him. Looking focused.
Yeah, it's a really tough challenge. You don't want to be... I've just seen a bit of movement from the jury. Just wondering if there's going to be a lift overturned.
Yep, looks like it was. So I'm assuming that's Jazvinder Singh. It's got a good lift. It is, yep. So he's on the board. They've overruled that. And that's a good lift for Tom.
Tom Saunders is on the board as well with 235.
I was slightly distracted by looking at what was going on with the jury, but let's just watch that back. Oh yeah, no problem.
Another great example of technique there.
So no issue for Tom. This is Yee Heng of Chinese Taipei. Coming out for 245.
And Chinese Taipei have just been growing and growing in strength in this sport for such a long time now. I remember seeing them years back with, you know, a very small team, 1 or 2 lifters, and now, you know, they're sending in quite a number of lifters and very good experienced lifters as well. And you could see how quick and smooth that was. Very professional.
Yep, no problem. No problem for Wu at all.
He's picked a great opening lift.
So Ludvig Moen of Norway now, 275 kilos.
Well, we've seen a lot of support for Norwegian lifters here.
We have. I don't think there are quite so many people here for this session. Last night when...
it gets a bit thunderous.
It really did, yeah, because the lower bleachers are not a concrete structure, and people were stamping their feet. I really thought the roof was coming down at one point.
That is just the Norwegian thunder. So 275 for Ludvig. And still a junior.
19 years old.
Just into the juniors, got another few years yet as well.
Didn't have any problems with the weight, did he? That is a good lift. So here comes Mattias V Perry now of Finland, 295 kilos on the bar.
To give you an idea of the 83 kilo class and just how strong these guys are, the current world open record is 375 kilos for the squat.
That is just massive, isn't it?
And this man here,
Mateus V Perry,
295, I think has the Finnish record.
Looking at his squat PB and his total PB, he's got some kind of record because it is not a multiple of 2.5, which means he must have set a record at some level of competition, presumably nationals.
And right now he wants 295.
Well, let's see if he gets it. Ask and you shall receive. Looks good.
Yeah, it moved quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah, gets the depth well.
Good lift for him. So Manuel Gonoman of Germany, also for 295 kilos. Pretty well matched, these guys. I mean, his squat PB is 300. V Perry was 301, so it's pretty close.
Yeah, and the best approach for these guys is to literally have their own little competition here. Try and get to the top of this group, push each other, beat each other, and put yourself in the best possible position in the overall totals and the numbers for each lift here.
That's right. I mean, it's almost like until you get to the third deadlift, that is your best strategy anyway. Because if you start worrying about what someone else is doing and then chasing after them, the likelihood is you're going to put too much weight on, maybe you're going to fail something, and you actually end up further back than...
Yeah, so you've got to really manage it and be quite careful with your decisions.
And this is why this sport is so strategic. Yes, it's about who moved the most weight at the end of the day, but...
And that one goes on the board.
Yep, no problem for Gonoman. 3 white lights. Depth's good, technique's good. Didn't look too heavy. I think we're going to see that one jumping up quite a bit. So Mikhail Dal of Denmark now, also for 295 kilos.
I heard the crowd start cheering before I saw him. I thought there was another Norwegian lifter walking out. But that just demonstrates the crowd here. Doesn't matter what country you're from. They want you to get the best lift in you can.
This is powerlifting. Everybody wants to see the lifts go up. You know, it's rare, apart from maybe on the final deadlift, when you find out that your country's won rather than a different one. But it's rare that people don't cheer every lift, I find.
Very smooth through the lift there. Great technique.
Good lift for him.
And
so this is now Renzo Santellices of Ecuador. Coming out for 300 kilos. Second to last man in this round. He'll be followed only by Mastro Lorenzo.
So just into the opens, to the age of 24.
Probably not a man who enjoyed last year's dearth of powerlifting, because that would have been his last year as a junior. Anybody who changed category last year did not have a great time. That is the time when you've moved, either you're at the top of your junior category or you've just moved into a master's category, and that's your best chance to make an impression.
Yeah, it was a pretty tough year.
It was.
He's using a lot of energy on his walkout there. I like to see people conserve energy on their walkout.
Quite a wide stance too. But you know, that's clearly what works for him.
And gets back to the top. He's got a big smile on his face. He's pretty confident.
He does, yeah, that's
so
a good
he should
lift for
be.
him. So, last lift in this round. Now this is Antoni Mastro Lorenzo, who is representing France, despite having a rather Italian name. He is certainly lifting for France.
So 305 kilograms.
He's going to top this flight, should he get it.
Lifted at the Arnold Classic in Europe in 2019.
Yeah.
Did a 290 squat back then.
Masters 1 next year.
He lifted 305 in 2018 in Pilsen.
Now, I'm not sure about depth there. I'm safe saying that because the referees can't hear me, but I think one of them agreed with me.
So, yeah, he gets the 2-to-1, which is all you need. So we move around into the second round of squats for these guys now. It's a pretty fast body curl. I've just seen the jury stand up. I'm just wondering if we're going to see an overturn to a no lift.
We may do, we may do.
I'm sorry to say, but with jury's decision, there is no lift there for Mastro Lorenzo.
Okay.
So we did see an overturn.
So that is no lift for Mastro Lorenzo on 305. Clearly the jury agreed with my assessment. They're a long way away. They didn't hear me. I didn't inform them. But great minds. So, Miquel Ugandi of Estonia, 192.5 on the bar for him.
He had a good opening lift at 180.
I hope he's not been too distracted, because if you as a lifter are on the platform and then you see officials moving about, anything can knock you out of your groove, put you in a funny place. Hopefully he's been able to ignore it, rise above it.
Drops in nicely.
Yeah, we saw that last time, didn't we?
Yeah.
So yeah, good
Hopefully
lift for
we'll
him.
see on the replay here. You can have a look at this technique. He uses that suit and those wraps really, really well. Gets just before depth, drops in, and then gets that bounce really well.
Yeah.
The advantage of that is two things. One, you're getting the build-up of energy in the suit and in the wraps, but you're also getting your own stretch reflex as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because we'll see classic lifters do that too, won't we? So Andrei Iremi of Romania. 220. He's gone up 20 kilos.
It's a fairly decent jump, but his opening lift.
It is. I mean, these guys are 83
really
kilo.
Opening lift moved very, very fast. I'm not surprised. It's well below his best lift as well.
Yeah, I think he's joint heaviest in this group at 82.55 kilos. So he's clearly got to do as much with the weight as he can.
And that moved well.
2-1, red card for depth, but only one.
Yeah, and it's not unusual to have one side sitting a little bit lower than the other side.
True, true. Yeah, humans are generally not as symmetrical as you would think. So Jazvinder Singh Chima now. 230 kilos on the bar for Jazz.
So initially he had no lift on his first, then it got overturned to a good lift.
He's got to be thinking about making sure that he is deep enough, though.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't want to leave anything for the referees to think about. He wants to make this a lot more convincing.
Yeah. Once they've seen it, they're going to keep looking for it. So you have to make it very convincing. I mean, a referee's eyes can't be everywhere, but on squat they are generally on the knee and the hip crease.
Yeah, so 230 is listed as personal best, but he has actually done a 240 in 2019.
Well, I
what,
think
he's not
that
super
was convincing.
It's better, but it's not super convincing. He gets it on the board with
2-1.
red light.
Yeah. I think your experience is showing through, Mr. Williams.
It's really
the bar was lower one side than the other.
Yeah, and it's really tough when you come out for your second squat when you've already been sort of pinged a little bit for depth. Tend to look a little bit closer, and you've got to be a little bit more convincing. I often talk to my athletes about, get out there, don't give them anything to think about. You don't want to get to a depth where they've got to think, is it depth, is it not depth? Get to a point where there's no thinking about it.
Well, they start looking for something else. So this is Yee Heng Wu of Chinese Taipei.
And that looked exactly the same as his first one.
Yeah, 250 kilos.
Super fast.
Moved very, very quickly. Tom Saunders also for 250, quarter of a metric ton, as I always like to point out, just to remind people, if you're watching this all day, then you're going to go, here's another 250. You try picking up 250 kilos. You try picking up 30 kilos in a shopping bag. That's a lot of weight. Put that on your back, sit down. I guarantee, unless you are superhuman like most of these guys, you are not going to stand back up with it.
So 250 kilos on the bar. Well, the depth looks good from this angle.
Handled it well.
Lockout didn't look 100%, but he gets it on the board. And
That's a good lift for Tom.
Interestingly, Arimi has scratched his third lift on squat.
He has. Which is unusual in equipped competition. They will normally, let it go up by 2.5, which is the default, which is what happens if you don't put in another attempt, in order to give everybody the best possible chance. I guess it's in the third round, so it's not so bad, and he's done it early, so they're not surprised by it.
It's not going to cause too many issues.
No. Ludvig Mohn now, Norway, 290 kilos on the bar for him. Last one moved very, very smoothly, didn't it?
Yeah, opened at 275. That was a nice lift. Moved to 290 for a second.
Now, we're not seeing these guys push each other too hard here, are we? I wonder if that's a factor of them knowing they're in the B group, knowing that they're not having to worry about chasing something. Good lift for Ludvig.
Yeah, look, I think what they're trying to do is really just get the numbers on the board that they can without trying to push each other too hard, knowing that these numbers are going to go up against the other group. If we start pushing each other too hard, then we end up putting ourselves at risk as well.
Now, I suspect, and I may be wrong, this is Mateus V Perry, 305 kilos on the bar for him. I suspect that what we might see this evening is, because the A group know they're the A group, because they know that they're challenging for the win, they might start pushing each other harder. We might see more failures.
Well, we could quite easily see a few extra failures and a few people come through sort of from the B group undetected, I suppose, or flying in under the radar a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So let's see how Matias does with his 3:05.
So this will be a very big personal best, and I think it might even be a Finnish record. I haven't got the data for the Finnish records here.
Good lift. So if that was a Finnish record, he's extended it. 3:07.5 goes on the bar now. This is for Manuel Gonoman of Germany. We're told his PB is 300 kilos, so this will extend it by 7.5.
Yeah, that's a fairly good personal best. I mean, to get that on a world stage as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, we talk about it all the time that everyone comes to these competitions with very different goals in mind. So we did a 300 earlier this year, the European men's equipped.
Okay, so that's a fairly recent total. So if you can push that by 7.5 kilos, surely he's going to go home a happy man. Of course, we're only in round 2, so. Drops in, drives it out,
Well,
no issues.
He's made some solid progress since then, because that was in August, I think, this year.
Now there's a difference here. If that was in an equipped competition as well, and I'm assuming it was, because
correct,
we're comparing apples with apples. 3:15's going on the bar now for Renzo Santellices of Ecuador. If we're comparing apples with apples, then an equipped competition in August, where was that held?
That was in Pilsen in Czechia.
Right, okay. So you're probably going to find that the conditions there were very different. It was probably going to be hot, it was probably going to be humid. Right here in Norway in November, it is not hot, it is not humid.
It is certainly not hot.
It's certainly not hot. No, you're sitting there with a jacket on, aren't you? So what you might find there is that it is easier for the athletes to get into their equipment and therefore handle it better.
Yeah, look, the cooler weather here is quite ideal for quick lifting. It's such a hard job getting in and out of suits and things like that. Then you've got lifting. You do tend to wear out very quickly in the hotter weather. But right now, this man looking for 3:15. Oh, and he gets it to the top, but just gets his footing off.
Lost his balance. Now, obviously, you can't walk about with the weight, so that is, unfortunately for him, no lift.
Yeah.
Now, he looked strong enough. That's just a balance issue.
He has got those knee wraps as tight as you can get them.
So last two numbers in this round are both 3:17.5. Antoni and Mastro Lorenzo of France.
Yeah, look, he missed this on his opener.
He did.
So he's got a bit of work to do now.
Well, he originally got it, didn't he? And then it got overturned.
So he's got some work to do.
All eyes are going to be on him from the referees and the jury.
So he's looking for 3:17.5. What's interesting is 3:05 got overturned, and he's added 12.5 kilos to it.
Now, what he's thinking is that's going to help him drive it down. Whether he can drive it back up again.
Well, it's tough, and he just couldn't stand up.
Now, that's unusual to fail that high, isn't it?
Well, I think what's happened here is you can see as he comes back up.
A little bit of a good morning, perhaps?
Well, he gets a little bit of position. The hips start to wobble a little bit. Right about here, he starts to get a little bit of a wobble in. And he's very forward when he gets to the top. And he's sort of on a balance point there. And if he shifts, he's probably going to lose his balance.
Okay, so here's Mikhail Dal of Denmark for the same weight, 3:17.5.
Well, that's a big jump as well. 295 to 3:17.5.
Maybe 295 was safe, and 317 is his first real attempt. It certainly didn't seem to give him any trouble, did it?
And that is just a bit too heavy today. And you get yourself in a tough spot here when you put that bigger jump on, then you can't get it. If it is just too heavy, you can't go back down. You're stuck with it.
No, yeah, it's a rising bar. So yeah, the minimum he can do for his next attempt is 317.5, and I would suggest that that is the maximum he should be going for, but he's not going to listen to me. He's going to listen to his coach, who's going to put the numbers on. Anyway, we're into the third round. Miquel Ugandi of Estonia coming out now for 200 kilos.
Yeah, he absolutely smoked his opening lift.
This will be a PB for him of 5 kilos, if I'm reading the numbers right.
And yeah, the way his opening lift moved, I think 200 is really quite a reasonable attempt here. Everything's moved quite well. He's looking really good.
Yeah. Always frightens me the way he drops into the hole at the bottom, which you're going to see in a second.
Yeah, look, it's one of those things, I mean, from coaching athletes as well, it's quite a difficult thing to coach as well, because it's not just a drop either, it's quite a controlled drop into it.
Yeah, you have to control the weight coming down and then let it go and know exactly when you're going to fire it back up, don't you? Terrifying. Bear in mind, there's 200 kilos on that bar, which isn't anywhere near a big weight in this round, but it's still a lot of weight. Oh, look at that.
And smooth as it could possibly be.
Yeah.
He gets 1 red, but that's okay. 2 white lights is all you need.
Yep.
Then we have 235 for Chima.
Okay, so here's Jazvinder Singh Chima. He's coming out for 235. Now he got 2 to 1 on the last one, didn't he? Although the depth looked okay,
yeah.
but he has to make sure. Absolutely has to make sure.
I'd be aiming to be really convincing on this one.
Yep.
You know, he's had a couple of red lights here and there for depth, and he really needs to make sure that he puts no doubt in the referee's mind at all.
British team fairly well represented. I can hear them shouting from the bleachers.
Needs to make this very clear.
Absolutely does.
Well, that looked a bit more convincing.
I mean, you look how low that bar is on one side to the other. We'll see it again in the replay, I think.
And he's still not getting there. I see only one side gives the white light there. Coach is going to the jury.
As you would expect. Yep. There's literally nothing to lose as a coach at that point. So Yee Heng Wu now coming out for 255.
He has been outstanding. His lifts are fabulous. They are so fast. He is so straight. His technique is right on the money. And now he has to keep that technique. Drops in, straight back up.
Well, I think he heard you, mate. That is an excellent lift for him. I know the only lift we can give is good, but I'm going to say that was excellent. I was very, very impressed by that. If I could give an extra white light, I would do so.
We give 4 white lights for that one.
Here comes Tom Saunders now, Great Britain, 260 kilos on the bar for him.
Yeah, look, he's been lifting well, 235 to 250. You know, and he's taking that little bit of a smaller jump into the third, which is, you know, quite a wise move. This will give him 260, which is a nice little personal best. I don't recall him doing any more than 257.5 any time recently.
That's nice for Tom. It was a little uncontrolled on the way down, but it was very well controlled on the way up, and absolutely no issues for him. That's very nice for Tom.
Is this Tom's first international?
So here comes Ludvig Mohn while you're looking that up, of Norway. 297.5 on the bar for him.
Yeah, he's looked good at 275 and 290, and now just taking that 7.5 kilo jump to the third. Trying to conserve a little bit of energy. We've still got bench to go. We've still got deadlifts to go.
Yeah.
You don't want to be using everything you've got for the squats and then have nothing left for your next lifts.
Nope, it is a 3-lift competition. You've got to get at least one of each. It's no good taking a world record on your squat and then bombing on bench, because apart from anything else, that means your world record is invalidated. You must put in not only a good lift, but also a bona fide attempt on every lift in order to take a record. I would say that's bona fide for Ludvig.
There it is,
good
3
lift.
white lights.
Okay, Renzo Santellices of Ecuador.
Yeah, he missed this on his second attempt at 315.
He did. Well, he just took a step back, I think.
Yeah, so this is really the case of having to get into the balance, find your position properly, be confident under the bar.
Got a little bit of a wobble on, didn't he, really, which he never managed to recover from, and then made him step back, and so as not to fall over. I mean, the spotters would have caught him, but that is still a failure anyway. So.
Well, let's see if he can rectify it. He's certainly got plenty of coaching experience in his corner.
And of course, if you are having balance issues, sometimes it's a bit of a gamble as to whether you're going to hold on to it until you get the rack command and the spotters grab hold of you and put it back. But that's a dangerous game to be playing. He's making sure he gets his foot in exactly right. Well, it's one foot quite forward, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit hard to tell from this angle.
It looked like it when we saw the overhead view. Oh, very, very careful. 2 to 1.
2 white lights.
But it's a good lift.
Yeah, on his last attempt that he missed, he looked at his leg after the lift, and I'm just wondering if he got out of balance because maybe his suit slipped up, something got out of position. So this one was a lot cleaner.
You could see him being really cautious.
Not an easy lockout, though.
No. Well, I think he slowed that down so as to control it at the top. Here's Matthias V Perry now of Finland.
So started at 295, went to 305, now looking for 315.
As we move up through the into the heavier lifters, we start to see that bar bend as well. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, an Eleiko powerlifting bar does not bend easily.
Well, he handled the weight. Did he get deep enough? The referee said he
did. Okay, now this is Antoni Mastro Lorenzo of France. He needs this or he cannot make a total.
Yeah,
and look at his face, he knows it. He knows it.
It's a very difficult position to be here in with squats.
It's not where you want to be, is it?
Yeah, I think in squats this is probably a little bit of a worse position to be in than it would be with bench. And I don't think he got deep enough there, but we'll see.
And he's fallen forward
anyway.
Just
got out of position again.
And yeah.
So he will be very disappointed with that. Not the way he wanted his squats to go at all, so he cannot register a total now.
And I think the spotters are going to be a little bit disappointed with that as well, because it didn't go back into the top of the rack.
So now they've got to unload.
They've got to unload the bar to put it back to the top of the rack, to then reload it with the same weight of 317.5 kilos.
And those guys are doing a great job and working that super fast.
A spotter's lot is not a happy one.
Yeah,
but
look, this is pretty tough for the next lifter. This is tough for the next lifter as well.
Because he's got his knees wrapped.
He's ready to go.
And he's waiting.
You can see how fast This platform crew is working though to make sure that Dahl does not have to stand there for too long.
Well, 2 lifts to go in this round. This is Dahl, who'll be followed by Gonoman, who is only going to put 2.5 kilos on top of that. Irami obviously has scratched his last lift, so he's not going to take that one.
So 317.5.
For the second time of asking, it was a little bit too heavy for him last time.
And the platform crew did a great job doing that so quickly so he didn't have to stand there too long.
Yep. He's looking a little bit hunted there, isn't he? I think he knows he's under pressure.
Well, he's got the strength. Has he got the depth?
He does. Very nice. So he's pulled that back from the brink, really, because it looked far too heavy for him last time, but whether he's widened his stance, I'm not sure. Anyway, Manuel Gonoman of Germany now coming out for 320. This will be the biggest squat in this B group of the 83 kilo lifters.
A whopping 320 kilograms. And it's a fairly hefty jump from a second to third as well.
It is. But every single lift of this guy have looked fantastic. So if he's pushed it too far, we will find out very, very shortly. But I'm hoping that he has. Oh,
and just having some problems with the rack position. Did he
now,
have a squat command before that?
Did he get the start command?
I believe he did.
So it looks like he did get the start command, therefore he has failed, unfortunately.
No lift, unfortunately.
So that is technically a failure to, I've rarely seen a failure to obey the squat command.
Yeah, look, if he hadn't have got the squat command and fallen back into the rack, he could have reset, but unfortunately, no such thing. So we will take a very short 10-minute break now and be right back with the 63 kilo women.
See you soon.
Welcome back to Stavanger, Norway, the 2021 World Open Equipped Powerlifting Championships. I am Gary Williams. I am joined by Joe Whiteley, and we are just about to get into the bench press round for the 63 kilo women and the 83 kilo men. And to give you an idea of just how strong 63 kilo women are, I just looked up the world record. 181.5 kilos is the current equipped world bench record. And the bench only, the single lift, 185 kilograms. These are massive. So you've got to watch this round, then you've got to watch again this evening for the Group A 63 kilo women and 83 kilo men, and watch it all unfold. We're about a minute away. So the 83 kilo men, quite interesting. They didn't push themselves as much as we sort of expected them to.
They didn't, and that's possibly, as we said, a result of the fact that they know that they're the B group, so there's no real pressure there for who's going to take medals, because we're not going to find that out until the A group have lifted. So maybe they're just, playing their own game, running their own competition, seeing how they go.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to be in. If they push themselves too much, they end up with lots of failures, and none of them find themselves in a position to go after to be in the running for medals later on this evening. If they don't push themselves hard enough, then again,
they're not in the medals.
So they've got to find that sort of medium ground. And I think as it warms up and they warm up into the competition a bit, they're going to start pushing themselves through the bench and the deadlift as well. And of course, we've got the bench right now, probably one of the most technical lifts of powerlifting. There's a lot for an athlete to remember. There's a lot for an athlete to listen for. And then we throw in the shirt as well, and it becomes even more technical for the athlete as well.
It does. So 80 kilos on the bar for South Africa's Mian de Vet. Now, she was absolutely dominant in this. Well, she was pretty good in the squat, but she's way down on bench, and this is probably a result of the fact that she's 15 years old. It takes a long time, as you were saying in the break, to develop that bench press.
Yeah, look, at the age of 15, bench takes a long time to develop. I mean, it really is about being under the bar as much as you possibly can, and it takes long to develop. I think for young women as well, it's probably a little bit harder to develop that, or a longer process to develop than it is for the men. So at 15 years of age, 80 kilos is a pretty monstrous bench.
Well, she didn't seem to have any trouble with it.
It moved like a rocket, didn't it?
It did. 3 white lights for her and a good lift.
And
so here comes Megan now for 105. Also from South Africa. But she's got 10 years on Devet, and I think that's...
yeah, she's had plenty of time to build this, and it's going to continue developing. I mean, she's 25 years of age. Her bench is going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger for quite a long time to come yet.
Sure. So, what have you got, Meg?
So, taking your time, getting right up on those shoulders.
Just getting herself in the absolute best position to handle that weight. We'll see the butt come down now, yep.
And having to work that shirt. And smooth back to the top.
It looked tough getting the touch, didn't it? But yeah, she's locked that out and got a good lift.
Gets it on the board.
Laura Salita of Italy now, 110 for her. Only 5 more kilos than Megan.
And the bar is loaded for Laura, 110.
So 110 kilograms. She has a 210 kilo squat on the board.
And there will be a 4-minute break after this before we go round to round 2. IPF regulations, minimum time between lifts gives us a 4-minute break. So we will talk to you about some of the technical aspects of the bench press in that time. And 4 minutes is nowhere near long enough to talk about
Not
everything.
To, not to talk about bench. We'll try and cover as much as we can.
That's a good touch. Oh.
And just couldn't get that left-hand side moving.
Now that's given her a problem, hasn't it?
Put 4 minutes on the clock, please.
Oh, just having a look at the replay here. And she gets down to the touch. She's already lifted her butt off the bench there, which is a problem. Yeah, and the problem is what happens is when you lift, you feel like you're putting yourself in a better position when you lift your butt off the bench. But what happens is when you press, if you're lifting your hips on the descent, what happens when you press is you're pressing up and your butt goes down. So what ends up happening is all the energy that should be going to the bar is actually, some of it is actually going into pushing your butt back into position.
Yep.
So for that first couple of inches of press, you've only put about 70% into the bar instead of 100%. So it can cause a few little problems there.
Yeah. Now, we've got 3 minutes. Do we have time to talk about the arch? I know this is a little controversial.
Well, you know, it's an interesting thing. I mean, often we hear people say that it's controversial. The whole idea of the arch is not really an arch. The whole idea is to get your shoulders up under as far as possible, and for a couple of reasons. One, it's the strongest position on the bench. Two, it puts your lever arms in a better position. And three, it protects your rotator cuffs.
Yeah.
That means your pecs are doing the work, your triceps are doing the work. You don't want your shoulders doing the work and your rotator cuffs. The other idea of the arch is about creating stability, creating a tight system in the bench. You know, you read a lot of things online every now and then. You know, oh, it's an arch is bad for your back. The arch is actually really good for your back. It's protecting it from any, you know, unwarranted movements, creating a really tight system. It's protecting your back. And what else is allowing you to do, it allows you to drive through your legs. So when you push back through your legs, when you have that tight system, that force that's produced is pushed through the body and translated into pushing the bar. If you don't have a tight system and you drive through your legs, your body moves this way, your body moves that way. So all the force you've generated from your legs is gone everywhere else except for the bar. And then, of course, you have the other option is I'm going to try and get my chest as high as I can.
Well, that's the thing.
And reduce the range of motion as much as I can. If you can, you know, knock a little bit off your range of motion, fantastic. All credit to it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I always say, people say, oh, look at that range of motion. That's ridiculous. Because in some cases, you will see the bar move literally an inch. But what I say to people is, the only reason you're complaining about that is because you can't do it.
And the other point to that is, I mean, quite often it's, you know, there's a little bit of an illusion that the bar isn't moving very far. And I've watched, you know, world record attempts on video, and I've watched the same one live. And I will admit that on video, it quite often doesn't look like the bar's moving very far. If you're sitting here live, that bar is still moving a long way.
That's true. And the other side of a short range of motion is you have your arms quite wide apart, which of course gives you a mechanical disadvantage.
Very much so. And you're not able to engage the larger muscle groups either. So,
sure.
So, you know, yeah, there's advantages and disadvantages to both ways. I mean, I'm obviously, you know, a heavyweight lifter. I can't get a big arch, but I can get a bit of an arch. And as I work with a lot of my athletes, one of my cues is about moving your chest to the bar. Yeah. And so as you're descending that bar, the idea is you should be lifting that chest up as far as you can, you know, so they make contact somewhere along the way.
Sure.
So we're about 30 seconds away, and yeah, I think as we said, the bench is super, super technical. You throw a shirt in there as well. I mean, there's so many things you remember as an athlete. You've got to wait for the start command.
Yeah.
Then you've got to wait for the press command. You're only going to get that press command if the bar comes to a complete stop. So the faster you stop it, the faster you get the press command. Yep. The longer it takes to stop it, the longer you're sitting there waiting, and all that tightness and potential energy is disappearing from your system altogether as well.
You can feel your strength draining away, can't you, as it's sitting on your chest? It uses
energy. Your butt's got to stay on the bench. Your head's got to stay on the bench. Your feet have to stay flat on the floor. There is so much to remember, and you'll often see even experienced athletes get excited and jump the press command or jump the start command because there's so many things going through their heads.
Or even worse, jump the rack command and go, yes, that's it, I've done it, I've racked. Oh.
And we have all done it.
So here comes Ugandi vet. 90 kilos for her second attempt.
Yeah, that's a fairly decent sized jump. Her first lift rocketed though.
It absolutely flew. Yeah. I mean, was that a safe move to get one in?
Well, there's a bit of both. I mean, I said earlier today. I mean, that first, it's sort of like when you're benching with a shirt. It's a bit like test driving a car, a race car. You know, you're fine tuning a race car. You'll take it out for a lap, come back in, make a few tweaks here and there, take it out for another lap. A shirt is a bit like that. You know, your first lift is a bit of a test drive to see where we need to tweak and tune it. Sometimes you get lucky on that test drive and it's perfect. Oh, that's a tough lockout. You can see those legs pushing. Did she keep her hips down? I don't think so. That's 2 yellows.
Let's watch the replay.
And let's see here. I think it's going to lift. Yeah, it comes off the bench.
Just did. Very slightly, but...
Yeah, look, and you can see that. As the button lifted, you could see the bar slow down dramatically, and that's because all the power's draining away.
So here's Megan now, out for 107.5. Only 2.5 kilo jump.
Yeah, it's not a big jump in equipped lifting. But she knows herself well. She knows the numbers. This is a personal best for her.
I think every lift today has been a personal best.
So she knows what she's capable of. And she's come into this with the idea, I'm just going to put what I can on the board. And do the best I can get the best number I can, and let's let the chips fall where they will.
Okay, so let's see if she gets that touch. That looks a little easier, actually, than last time.
That looks a lot better, actually.
I think so.
And there we
Three
go.
white
Three
lights.
white lights.
Yep. So a good lift for Megan at 107.5. Now, Laura Salita, 110 is on the bar for her for the second time of asking. She didn't get it last time because it just looked a little bit too heavy, but there are, as you've said, there are so many adjustments you can make on the bench.
You know, that first one, it's that test lap. You know, you come back in, you fine-tuned it. You know, she would have got off the bench and said to her coach a few different things. You know, it feels this here, it feels that there. I don't feel it in my sleeves. And they would have made the adjustments to make it work.
Yeah. Now, in some cases, you'll find lifters using different shirts for different lifts. Now, I don't think that she will have changed shirt for this lift. We've no way of knowing, obviously. But you can see that in equipped competition.
And it depends on how good you are getting in and out of it.
Or how good your coaching team is. Because it is definitely not a one-person
slow, controlled descent. So that is a no lift, but I think a coach is going to walk to the jury. Now, it's the 3 red lights, and you generally can't query that, but I think he's questioning whether they took the, it's been overturned. The spotters reacted a little bit too fast and didn't wait for the center referee to take it. So she will actually get a second attempt at that. And that's going to be a little bit tough with all the timing here.
It is, because it would normally be at the end of the round, but she is at the end of the round.
So we'll wait and see how they're going to manage that. It's going to be a little bit tough to do. And the other decision is too for her, does she take this? Because if she takes this and then her official third, she will have essentially done 4 lifts.
That's right, because she, you know, it's not like she got it to the chest and then they took it or anything like that. She'd most of the way pressed it.
So there's a lot of energy.
So she's expended all that energy.
Yeah, so what they've done is they've put the time on the clock. We've got the 4-minute rest now, so we'll see how they do that. So if I understand this
right, she's got 3 minutes, but that is 3 minutes in which to take the lift. It's not that she's going to get to the 3 minutes and then get another minute.
Yeah, she's got 4 minutes and then 2 minutes. Because we've got such a short round, and this is really quite a little bit confusing because we've got such a short round, so we have the 4-minute break and then 2 minutes and then back to the start. It's a little bit complicated with such a small group. But you know, I mean,
First time I've seen
yeah,
this.
look,
So
it's something I probably haven't come across, but the IPF has rules all in place for all these sorts of situations as well, so it's not a major issue at all. And that was just, that was a case of the spotter's doing such a great job and just reacted a little bit too early.
you can't blame them because their job
Absolutely
is to
not. That
keep
is
the
their job.
lifter safe. They should not be, and I don't think they are, beating themselves up about it. If they thought that that was going to fall and that was going to cause have some risk of harming her,
look,
they should take it. But then the centre referee and the jury agrees that this is how it
look,
should
and the
be.
coach did the right thing there. The coach walked over to the jury and said, I don't think they should have taken that. And the jury stood up, centre referee stood up and said, no, not a problem, we can take care of this and fix it. It would be a little more challenging for her, if she was in, a fight for the medals. This extra lift could really make, a difference either way. But given that there's not currently a fight for medals, I think she'll come out, she'll do the extra lift as well. And I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, we'll see. Because, I mean, she's on prognosis, which is, no indication of what's actually going to happen. But on prognosis, she's looking at a sort of a 500-plus total if she gets her her bench
and
and
she
her opening
wants to
deadlift.
get, and currently, her bench, her best total, I think, is 480, 482, something like that. So, she wants to get the best total she can get. She has her personal goals here. Everyone comes to these competitions with their own personal goals. Some are here because they're here because they want to be they're going to be a world champion and they've nominated, they're in the running for it. Some are here for national records. Some are here for personal best. Some are here because it's their first ever international competition. They want the experience. Yeah, everyone has their own little goals along the way.
I would suggest that no matter what her goals are, breaking 500 is always worth doing for a lifter,
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And we do have those milestones. Everyone has those milestones on every lift. Everyone has those milestones on total as well. And then when you get to one milestone, there's a new one. When you get to that first 100 kilo bench, your next milestone is that 140 bench, and then the next one along the way is 160.
I tell you something, if I'd got to a 100 bench, my next milestone would be 102.5. And that's a big if.
Well, I've seen the length of your arms, Joe, so I'm not surprised. You've got to shift that bar about 8 meters.
Okay, so here's Laura Salita now. 110.
Okay, so this is officially
this is her second attempt. Because, as you saw, the jury overturned it because the spotters took it a little bit too early. She's had a rest. She's got a minute in which to get the start command. I can't imagine what pressure she's under. Well, I know exactly what pressure she's under. She's under 110 kilos of pressure, but mental pressure is a little more difficult to measure.
Hopefully she's had enough rest, because I think she can get this.
I certainly hope so. Her PB stands at 110, so she's done it before.
Oh, I think she has.
Yes.
Let's wait for the referees.
Yeah.
And she gets
2
it
to
on
1.
the board. Well
now she
done.
got a yellow card from the centre referee. Let's see. It's going to be difficult to see, but that's probably because of the head coming up, if anything. The centre referee is not going to be able to see the butt.
So now what happens? We throw an extra minute on the clock, because we're now back to the start of the round.
Yep, so she got that one.
So she gets a 107.5, sorry, her 110 on the board. We now, and I think this is going to get overturned. I have a horrible feeling this 110 is going to be overturned. I think her butt lifted off the bench.
Yeah, we did see that on the replay.
Yeah, and the jury has stepped in, and that is tough. She's in a tough spot now.
I'm afraid I'm hearing some boos from the audience. That is not very sporting, ladies and gentlemen. But it is what it is. My notes are a complete mess now because of how many different things have happened to Salita's second bench.
Yeah, look, and what's really interesting, I mean, we saw in Lithuania a lot of butt lift as well, and we've talked about this, and a lot of it may be a case of training on equipment that isn't to standard height. I mean, it's been a difficult couple of years for people not being able to get access to all the usual equipment and things like that.
It has, you know, with the lockdown and sudden scarcity of equipment, we saw really, you know, quite basic equipment changing hands at prices that you would not normally believe. So people had to just train with what they had.
And right now, we load the bar to 90 kilograms.
Yeah, this is from Yee Vet, South Africa. She didn't get this on her second attempt.
Well,
so
you know what? It was a big jump, a 10-kilo jump.
10-kilo jump for somebody who weighs 62.15 kilos and is 15 years old. That's
So let's see if she can put it on for a third attempt. She has the advantage now that she's felt this weight in her hands.
Yeah.
She also has the advantage that she's gone out the back, talked to a coach, made some adjustments.
She knows what she did wrong, so she knows what she has to do it right, I would hope.
Oh, just not quite there. So she will have to settle for 80 kilograms today.
Yep. She got one in, that is all you need to do. Which is more than Salita has done at the moment. However, next up is Megan Layton with 110 kilos. She's only gone up 2.5 kilos on every attempt, but she knows her weights, she knows her ability, she knows what she needs to do.
Yeah, look, I think this is a really smart move. She's just, you know, she did the same on the squats as well. She had a clear plan. And I'm just sticking to my numbers.
Yep.
I'm not going to get caught up in any ideas. I'm not going to get caught. I'm just going to put my numbers on the board. I'm going to reach my personal goals, and that's what I'm here to do. And that's, you know, that's a really mature athlete.
Yeah. Mature beyond her years, really, at only 25 years old.
Because it is very easy to get caught up in things, get caught up in the idea, thinking, right, you know, I've got the A group later tonight. I've got to push as hard as I can to try and, you know, do something there as well.
Tell you what, I'm feeling good. I'm going to go for 150.
Yeah, look, and it does take a really mature athlete to not get caught up in those things.
That's true. Touch is good.
Oh, strong drive. Does she lock
the
out?
Elbows. She had trouble locking that left elbow, but
and unfortunately she gets two red
Yellow
lights.
card
One
and
is,
the blue
I
card.
think, one for butt, one for lockout. Let's have a look. Yeah, she shifted a lot on the bench as well and lost a lot of power there. She slid about probably 2 inches from one end to the other.
Yeah. So 110 is on the bar again for the third, well, kind of the fourth time of asking for Laura Salita of Italy.
Yeah. Now she has 2 minutes on the clock because it is short round. She has 2 minutes on the clock. She can come out at any time during that 2 minutes.
I mean, I would recommend that she does not do so until she absolutely has to.
Although I think this may be the other rule where they put 2 minutes on the clock, then they call bar loaded, and then we have the 1 minute clock. Now the jury's up again.
Yeah, that's Xavier of France. He's been he's gone and told everyone what the score is. So they have loaded the bar.
Yeah, bar is loaded, but bar loaded has not been called.
Yeah. So we're going to get to that 1 minute. Then the centre referee is going to tell the speaker that the bar is loaded. The speaker will then say bar loaded, at which point the coach can send their lifter out.
I mean, it's really important to make sure the athlete has enough turnaround time. You know,
Sure.
and that is a really tough position to be in. You've lifted, you know, at the start of a round. And there is an overturn as well. Megan Layton's third lift has been turned.
Okay, so Meg has got that 110.
That is great news because we watched the replay and it was difficult to see what the reds were necessarily for.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we got a blue and a yellow card kind of indicates that it was not.
So the
in any
jury
way
has
unanimous.
you know, I mean, this is like any sport. We have video referees. The referees here are watching it live. They have that moment to see what things are.
Yep.
They make a decision. The jury has the replay over there and the slow motion replay, and they can take a much clearer look. If there's any sort of suggestion or any concern.
Okay, so the centre referee has now indicated that the bar is loaded. This is Laura Salita of Italy.
Well,
she needs this.
She is in a world of trouble here. She has
I would
failed
not
to
want to
make
be
a
her
bench.
right now.
She had a great squat at 210, and she is in all sorts of trouble now.
The crowd's behind her, and I'm saying that is not just the Italian contingent, that is everyone in the audience right here now. Nobody wants to see a lifter bomb out, which is a failure to get one of the 3 lifts.
So she's going to have to really, really focus here.
Very controlled descent. Good touch.
Oh, and I don't think it's going to go there.
No, even if she finishes that, there's
Not
been
today.
no downward movement. That is a real shame for Salita.
She'll be very disappointed. She's just had a tough run through bench, but she can still get out there and put a great deadlift on the board.
However, when you think that she's failed two squats and she's failed 4 bench presses, how much has she got left for the deadlift?
She's got to be starting to run low, hasn't she? So right now we move straight into the 83 kilo men's bench press.
We do. So Miquel Ugandi is first out with 130 kilos. Interesting to note that Mastro Lorenzo of France has scratched.
Yeah, look, I mean, I guess it's one of those decisions. Has he decided, look, I've missed all my squats. I can't put a total in. I don't even know where I'm going to be in the rest of the group because I'm in the B group. Do I pack my bag? Look,
I would always say no. I would always say get that experience on the platform.
As a coach, I would say exactly the same thing as well.
However, as a human being, I completely understand.
And
He's come out, he's had a nightmare, he's failed. He just wants to crawl under a rock.
So, and look, you know, we don't know. There may have been an injury happening as well.
Potentially. But anyway, let's not talk about what might have been. Let's talk about what's happening now. This is Miquel Ugandi of Estonia with 130 kilos for his opening bench press.
130. Oh, he comes up very straight off the chest.
Yeah, that shirt's clearly working well because he had more trouble pulling it down than pushing it up.
Yeah, we'll have a look at the replay. It might have just been the angle wrong, but it looks like he comes up very straight without any real backward motion.
Saunders, Dahl to get ready.
And then gets a touch.
Good touch. Slight push.
Slight back, more than it looked from the other angle. But he got plenty out of that shirt, which was great.
Yee Heng Wu, Chinese Taipei now. This is 150 kilos for his opener.
Well, he had absolutely fantastic squat technique. So
yeah,
let's see if he can translate into bench as well. And interestingly, he is not wearing a belt to hold that shirt down.
No. You don't have to. A lot of people do, but it depends how it sits.
Gets
Look,
great technique on that as well.
I don't normally play a favourite, but I'm very impressed by this guy.
He gets one red light there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was for. Doesn't matter because 2-1 is good enough. That's a good lift for him. Tom Saunders now, Great Britain, 160 kilos on the bar for him.
Yeah, getting up pretty close to his personal best here, but
I think that's Dean Bowring bringing him out as well. That is a man who knows a little bit about equipped lifting, as does his son.
Yeah, look, and I think that's one of the things that you need to remember as an athlete too. And you know, coaching experience at world events and equipped events is really important.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just waltz into an equipped bench and equipped competition and know how to handle everything and manage everything. It takes years of experience.
It really does. So you know, having a good coach is giving you a real advantage there. Oh, now he seemed to slip down the bench a little bit, but I don't think it affected the lift.
And he gets 3 white lights. Yep. Let's have a look at the replay, though, because I think you might be right there.
If you watch his shoulders, probably about 2/3 of the way up.
Mikhail Dal of Denmark.
Yeah, there he goes.
About an inch to one side, one direction there.
Now that's hard to do because his back was chalked up, and these Eleiko benches have got a non-slip pad on them, but that just shows you exactly how much power is going through. And the leg drive is what's going to cause that.
Well, he did very well to lock that out, given that shoulder slip there, because once those shoulders start to move, you lose all the power.
Exactly, you're right offline. So Mikhail Dal, 167.5 on the bar for him. Danish lifter.
Oh, move nice and fast.
No problem. That's how your opener should look. 3 white lights.
Yeah, I always see it as an interesting choice not to wear a belt on an equipped bench. I mean, shirt has a tendency to find its way up your chest and go after your throat, and the belt, is basically. I mean, even if you don't bench classic with a belt, the belt in equipped is primarily about keeping the shirt down. I mean, I'm a little bit different. I bench classic with a belt as well, but in equipped, I mean, its primary function is to hold that shirt in a position.
Yeah, which is why you won't see them using generally you won't see them using the thick belts, although I've just been proven wrong in this case by Renzo Santellices on the platform for 175. He is using a thick belt, but a lot of them will use a very, very thin belt just to hold the shirt in place.
You'll see a few bench belts in this session. So he's been given the re-rack, and a referee just explained what the issue is.
Not sure what that is now.
I'm not up on my current referee sign language.
He's got 10 seconds to get the start command.
Oh, he's finding it trouble to get into the position though, isn't he? Oh, he's struggling here to get the shirt touched, and the shirt just took control out.
Now we talk about trying to get the bar down to the chest, being like trying to push 2 magnets together with the same pole, and that is a perfect illustration.
Yeah, I think that's
it wants to go everywhere but the landing zone.
Yeah, I think that's a really good description of it, because what the shirt's trying to do.
It's not mine, by the way. I did steal it.
It's trying to find the path of least resistance, and you want to find the path of most resistance to build up all that potential energy. So it's just this constant battle between you and the shirt, and at the end of the day, as we said earlier, you've got to be the boss of it.
You have. Ludvig Moen, 180 kilos for the Norwegian lifter. On home turf. I mean, Norway is a big, big place, but he's closer to home than everyone else in this group.
He certainly is.
Unless he lives really far north. We do have a Danish lifter in the group too, but
it's stalled out there. I don't know. He's locking that out. I think he got called before he locked.
Yeah, I think so.
He did. He's going to be disappointed with that.
No lift for him. So Manuel Gonoman of Germany. I think we may have laid down a commentator's curse on these guys by saying how easy the squat was, because bench is looking difficult.
Yeah, look, bench is always tough, and opener benches on equipped are always tough. It's really not unusual to see a big sea of red for opening lifts on equipped bench. And, like I said, you're doing that fine-tuning of the shirt in that first one quite often.
Well, let's hope that his practice lap, as it were, to continue using your analogy, gave him some tips on how to shake that shirt down. Or gives him some. Oh, he's pressed it.
He gets it to the top. Let's see what they say.
That's the question.
Gets 2 white lights.
One of the referees thinks it did, but and that is the left side.
So that's a side referee, and
this is the side we're looking at. So,
and the bar movement is about the whole bar. So it's not unusual to see a side referee see the end of the bar dip.
Yeah, but as long as the whole bar
got to be the whole bar.
Yeah, that's right. So good lift for him, 2-1. So, Jazvinder Singh Chima.
190 kilograms. It's a fairly decent sized lift. It's not even the biggest one in this group.
No, but he's certainly got the most experience, certainly based on age, as Jazz. And that, I think, was very nice.
Yeah,
Yep.
3 white rights. Very nicely executed.
Now, I think Jazz competes bench only equipped as well, so he's probably going to have
He's
a
got the
little more
experience, and
technique.
you can see his body position there. You know, his arch is just keeping everything tight. It's not huge. His hips are forced down to the ground. He's not too far stretched out or too tightly stretched in. Everything's just exactly where it needs to be.
Okay, Matias V Perry of Finland, 230 kilos on the bar for him. This is the most weight we've seen by a long way in this opening round of bench for the 83 kilo B group men.
Yeah, 230 kilos, and our next lifter, Remy, was 257.5.
Which is probably why he scratched his third one, because he's focusing on bench. I mean, you can pull a lot back on bench if you're a good bencher. Let's see how that looked for V Perry. Good lift.
Gets it on the board.
3 white lights. So, Andrei Nicolai Irimi, Romania, 257.5 kilos for his opener. Now, that's way more than he squatted.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that. It's not overly used to be benching more than you're squatting.
No. I mean, I have been criticised for benching the same as I squatted, but as long as he builds a valid total, and when you look on projections, he's projected to be up there with a reasonable total.
Yeah, look, I mean,
doesn't matter where you get it.
That's where you need to do it. I mean, you just need to put the numbers on the board and chip away and play to your strengths.
It's a very, very wide stance, and his one foot is much further forward than the other one. Whatever your biomechanics are, you have to work around them. Oh, now
I tell you what, he is.
That is a struggle.
He is ridiculously strong. He
However,
doesn't get the lift.
He's got yellow cards, so something moved. Is it a foot? Is it the butt?
Yeah, I think the butt comes off pretty early.
I think so. It's a little hard for us to see because of where his right leg is. But I'm not sure if it was ever actually on the bench.
Yeah, look, difficult to say. I mean, he doesn't get the lift. He's really strong. He's used a lot of energy. I honestly think, though, he's opened too high.
Potentially.
Because that was he has drained a lot of energy there on that lift. I mean, they could make quite a few adjustments out the back, and he's going to come out on the second lift and smoke that, and I'm going to eat my words. And I'd be very happy to do so.
Well, I hope you're right about being wrong. So, anyway, 140 is on the bar now for Miquel Ugandi of Estonia. 10 kilo jump from his previous attempt of 130.
So we're into our second round now, so it's moving a little bit faster. We've got that one less lifter in the group now. So it's a little bit faster, but still well within the rules. That's that suit, that shirt just pulling to one side.
Didn't want the touch, did it? And went off to one side for him.
It is an extremely difficult lift. You've got so much to work on.
Yeah. So here comes Yee Heng Wu for 155 kilos.
He had a
Chinese
great
Taipei.
opener, a great squats. His opener and bench looked fantastic. And of course, SBD producing all those country color-coded singlets.
Yeah, I was going to say actually that might be the current range, which I think is called Phoenix, but I don't know whether it's country specific or just the Phoenix range. Anyway, that's a good lift for Yee Heng Wu, no matter what singlet he was wearing.
Santilliches and Dahl, get ready. Bar is loaded for Tom Saunders, Great Britain.
Tom Saunders now, 167.5 for him. Gone up 7.5.
Yeah, look, he's having quite a good day. Got a solid squat in at 260. Got a nice opening bench through. Now looking at 167.5, which will be a nice personal best for him.
He's having a better day than some of the guys in his flight, for sure.
Oh, can he get that
it's
left?
Left elbow.
You know, he gets that to the top. I'm going to wait for the referee's decision on that one. He gets it
2
on
to 1.
the board.
Good lad.
What a lift.
Yeah, I mean, it's often the case that one elbow will lock out before the other. We don't have a rule about uneven extension. So that is not a failure.
It
As long as the whole bar does not dip, it's not a problem. So, good lift for him. 2 to 1. Renzo Santellices of Ecuador now. 175 for the second time of asking for him.
Yeah, things just didn't get a plan on the opening lift. So
He didn't get a touch. He didn't get a touch. It was really, really hard to get it down. Now, they might have actually pulled the shirt up in this case in order to make it a little easier for him to get the touch.
Look, and that's always a really tough one to do. It's a really tough decision to actually release the shirt a little bit. And yeah, he's still struggling.
I think there was a very brief moment where the bar was motionless on the chest for him to get the press command, but it was all over the place. He's really struggling to find
that position. You know, I very rarely do it, and it's quite unusual for me, but I probably consider putting on an extra 5 kilos for his last lift.
In order to get it down. At least you can get it down then.
Because I think releasing the shirt in this case is just too big of a risk to get it right. I think you'd probably end up releasing it to the point where you're just not going to get enough out of the shirt for 175.
Yeah, and it's going to come down and it's going to go absolutely nowhere and just sit on your chest. So, Mikhail Dal of Denmark, 175 on the bar for him. I tell you folks, if you're watching this and thinking you could do better, then get to a gym where they do equipped lifting and have a try. We would love to see you on the world stage. Now that was a slow lockout, but
it looked a little clean though. So
nope, no issues with that for him. 3 white lights.
Plenty of strength in the triceps there to get that lockout in.
So Ludvig Moen of Norway again failed his opener of 180. Failed to lock it out, so it wasn't a touch issue. It went nearly all the way up, but he just failed to lock it out.
Well, so here he goes again with 180. He needs to get this one on the board, or he's going to find himself in a world of trouble.
Very difficult place. That's one of the, as we were talking about the thinner bench belts before, that is a perfect example. It's literally just there to keep the shirt down.
Yeah, I mean, you've got that option. If you're a person that benches without a belt and you don't really want the belt in equipped, then that's your best option. I mean, I'm a person that benches with a belt, so in equipped I wear my SPD belt as well. I wear it to bed, actually. I really like it.
I think that might be a little too much information.
Oh, that's tough.
He's struggling with lockout again, and if the butt didn't come up there, I'd be very, very surprised.
No, he got all over that. He got all out of shape there. So he's in a world of trouble now.
That is not good for Ludvig Moen. So Manuel Gonoman of Germany, 192.5 for him for his second attempt.
Yeah, 2 lifters here with 2 attempts and still no lift on the board.
Yep.
Yeah, it just goes to show just how tough equipped lifting is.
Yeah, it's much more normal to bomb out, which is to not get at least 1 lift in every discipline in equipped lifting, because the chance of failure is much higher, I would say. It's a much more high-stakes game, isn't it?
So rack height's just incorrect there. So now if this is a platform error, they will restart the clock.
They'll restart the clock, and if it's him asking for it to be changed at the last minute, which he has every right to do.
They have restarted the clock.
They have restarted the clock.
Error.
Yeah. And again, we can't criticise these guys. They're handling. We did some calculations at one national competition, and we calculated that the spotters over a couple of days had handled about 3,000–4,000 kilos between them, and that's not worrying about when they've caught something either. So
yeah, it's a big job out there.
again, if you think you could do better, then go and volunteer at a local competition, because platform crew is always necessary.
Oh, he clipped the rack there.
He did.
I don't think the bar dipped though.
It didn't.
He gets away with it. So you are allowed, the bar is allowed to clip the rack. The bar cannot be supported by the rack, so you can't lean back into the rack and push it up. And the bar still has to continue in an upward motion. If it goes in a downward motion, then it will be no lift, of course.
Of course, now the problem is that if it hits the rack, then it's probably going to put you off. So
Yeah.
I think he did very well to manage that.
It's a lot easier to recover from in Classic than it is in Equipped.
Yeah. So Jazvinder Singh Chima, 197.5 on the bar now for him. British lifter. I think he's from Birmingham, and not the one in Alabama. Good touch. Good
Yeah,
press.
looks
It
good
looked
as
a little
well.
harder than the last one, which is what you would expect on his second lift, but 3 white lights and a good lift for Jazz. No problems. 240 going on the bar now for Mattias V Perry of Finland.
Yeah, look, he had a good 230.
He did.
He moved pretty well.
And at the moment, he is... I think he's on top of this, isn't he? Because of the amount of failures that we have at the heavier end of the class.
And that's his main focus today, just finishing on the top of the group here and see where the chips fall.
It's a little like the tortoise and the hare analogy, isn't it? You know, it's all very well saying I'm going to put 300 on for my second attempt, but if you fail that twice and then somebody sneaks in 280 below you, then they're in the lead.
Oh, 240. Let's see how he goes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
look
he
at
gets
that.
such great speed off his chest, and that's really what you need to do, not just with Equip, but with Classic as well. That explosion off the chest
Sure.
is really
I mean,
where you
the
want.
hard part with Equipped is you're effectively pulling that bar down to your chest, aren't you, in order to get it into the right
Yeah,
place.
look, it sounds really strange, but you are realistically pulling it down. And you need to get that balance right, because you don't want to be wasting all your energy just trying to get the bar down to your chest.
So, here we go. This is Andrei Nicolai Iremi of Romania.
257.5.
0.5, yeah.
He failed this in the open. Nothing.
It looked challenging. I mean, hopefully they've made all the right adjustments and this is going to fly. I am an optimist. Come on, Andre.
Well, I said it looked like he'd opened too high. I hope he proves me wrong right now.
That's looking like a lot of weight to handle, isn't it? Good touch.
Oh, I think he's got this.
He's pressed it, hasn't
I
he?
think he
so
has.
let's just see. Oh,
two
to
red
one,
lights.
So yellow cards. What moved? Let's see what we can see. If
Not
we can
much
see
in this
anything
angle
past the
at the moment.
spotters.
Unfortunately.
It's probably going to be butt, isn't it? It was. When the
Yeah.
spotter moved out of the way there, you could see his butt was off the bench. So he's strong enough.
He's strong enough. He certainly proved me wrong about the weight choice. Now he just needs to get the technique right.
He does. We're into the fourth round. 140 on the bar for Miquel Ugandi of Estonia.
Yeah, he missed on his second. We've got a good 130 on his first. Missed 140 on his second. Now we're into the third.
Yeah, now why did he miss that? He couldn't get a touch. He couldn't get a touch. That was his issue.
Yeah, they
so
just probably jacked the shirt up a little bit too much. Let's see how we go this time.
well, he's got a touch.
He did. I just don't think he had quite enough resistance in there. And that
so many things to get right.
But that is the challenge too of releasing a shirt. I mean, it's much easier to add weight to a shirt, you know, rather than release it. Releasing is a really difficult thing because you've jacked it up for a certain
You don't know
weight.
how much you're releasing it. Yeah. It's like letting air out of a tire before you know what you've done.
Look,
You've
if you add weight, you already know where the shirt is.
Yeah. Armchair experts right here, but you know, I'm sure the coaches are going, it's not that simple. But we're calling it as we see it. So here is Yee Heng Wu, Chinese Taipei, 160 kilos for him for his third attempt. Just quietly getting on with the job. Look at that.
All day today, he has looked fantastic.
Oh,
I reckon he's lifted the butt on that one.
I was not expecting that, but I think you're right.
Yep,
yes.
There he goes.
Just as he heaved to get the bar off his chest, unfortunately. So that is no lift.
Well, I think that's his first mistake, is it?
It is.
He's been doing very well today.
I hope it's his last. Tom Saunders, 172.5. Great Britain.
Yeah, look, I think this is a really good move. He did 160 as an opener, jumped up 7.5. Now he's jumped to 5 kilo, increment. They look good. The second lift looked tough.
As you would expect.
Yeah,
so.
and the 5 kilos is a smart move because I can make a couple of little adjustments to make up for that extra 5 kilos. And the tough part for him is getting the right touch point, the right bar path.
Yep. Well, come on, Tom.
And he does. He gets it there very well.
I think that
gets
was
it on the
timed
board.
Exactly right. Yeah. Good stuff for Tom. 2-1, but a good lift for him. Okay, so Santilliches. There's 3 lifters here who need to get this last bench in. Santilliches is one of them. Moen is another. Irimi is the last one.
Yeah, look, it's a really tough position to be in this.
175 for the Ecuadorian lifter, Renzo Santellices.
Yeah, I mean, we know from a coaching perspective, you know, there's lots of things we can do and you can go out there and smoke this lift. From an athlete perspective, depending on your experience, this can be a really difficult thing to do. If you're a really experienced equipped lifter, you're probably at this stage going, yeah, it's all good, we've got this under control, we'll make an adjustment here, twist a sleeve here, pull a shirt here, I'll go and smoke this one, it's fine.
However, he's been competing for 7 years, but he's only 24, so this might be where he's gaining the experience. He didn't get the touch first time, he didn't get the press the second.
And struggling with it again this time as well.
Struggling with the weight. So he has bombed out, he cannot make a total. I'm hoping that we're going to see him back for the deadlift.
I don't think his coach is going to let him not come back for the deadlifts.
No, I don't think so. You've come all this way, you are going to go out for the deadlifts. So same situation for Ludvig Moen of Norway. Needs to get this 180 kilos. And it was lockout in both cases for Moen. So he's nearly there. He's really nearly there.
180 on the bar.
He's got the crowd behind him. From the top to the bottom of the stands.
Just needs to put it all together.
So the touch is good. He's got the press command.
Oh, I think he's got this one.
That looks good to me. I hope beyond hope.
He has. He's got this one on the board.
Pulled it back from the jaws of death. Well done, Moen. That is absolutely fantastic. I couldn't be more pleased for him. 180 again. This is for Mikhail Dal of Denmark, another Scandinavian lifter. He is not in the same situation. He has got 2 lifts in. This is a 5 kilo jump for him.
.180 has 2 good lifts on the board.
This is just going to be a case of same again, please. No dramas. I would like to walk out of here with 180 and then start worrying about getting into the deadlift suit. Oh,
just a little bit too much there today.
too heavy, but not a problem for him. Okay, Manuel Gonoman, 200 kilos on the bar for him. German lifter.
Well, he's had 2 good lifts so far. Can he get a 3rd one on the board?
This will bring him up to a nice round 500.
And a big personal best as well.
I know he's currently at a nice round 500. He's going to crack that if he moves it on, and then he will add to that significantly with his deadlift. Okay. Good touch.
Oh, he's struggling that lockout. I think we might have had some bar dip there. I think he got racked anyway.
No. 2-1. He's got a yellow card from both side referees and a blue card from one. So anyway, 2-1. That is no lift for Gonoman. I think that's mainly lockout that was his issue, which caused the yellow cards, the change in elective position. So here comes Jazz now, most experienced man in this group. 205 kilos on the bar for him. 7.5 kilo jump, like he did between his first and his second. There's been very little drama for Jazz so far, so hopefully it's a case of business as usual.
Yeah, I mean, both those lifts have moved really, really well. You know, he looks, you know, he shows that experience on the bench and wearing the shirt, controls the descent very well. He's very solid in position on the bench.
Now, it didn't look as easy, but it is his 3rd bench. It shouldn't be easy. If your 3rd bench is easy, then you...
If your 3rd bench is easy, you're doing something wrong with your decisions.
Precisely. However, he's got all 3 of them in. So V Perry of Finland, 250 kilos
Massive,
for him.
250.
Now, on the openers, he would have been looking at potentially being 2nd, but unless Irimi gets his 257.5, he is going to finish ahead in the bench. Obviously, this is the B group, so we can't talk about medals. However, 250, that's up there.
Yeah, it certainly is.
We'll see what the A group do at 7 p.m. tonight. But yeah, he's just done a steady 230, 240, 250 for him now for his 3rd attempt. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think he might get this. Let's wait and see.
Yes, 3 white lights. 3 white lights for V Perry of Finland. Okay, right. This is the last guy who needs this to make a total. He's gone for 257.5 twice. This is Irimi of Romania. This is his 3rd try at 257.5.
Yeah, look, he...
First time was too heavy. 2nd time he pressed it, but his butt came up. 3rd time's the charm, surely.
Can he get this one on the board?
I certainly hope so. Crowds behind him. He probably can't hear him.
He will be very focused right now. $257.5.
I mean, this should be possible. His listed PB is 270.
It's well within reach for him.
Got the touch.
Oh, come on, lock
He's
it out.
Pressed it, but he did slide on the bench. Is there going to be a change of elective
Does he get
position?
it on the board? No.
2-1. Now, he's got yellow cards, but that is 2-1. I'm looking for the coach going to the jury.
Well, I'm not seeing any
And I'm
real
not seeing it.
movement. No, I think they're thinking about it.
I don't know why you would even think about it. I don't know why you wouldn't just go straight to the jury. You've got a chance there of saying, look, 2-1, this is worth debating.
Well, 3 lifters now not able to put a total in. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back here in 9 minutes and 42 seconds to finish this off with the deadlifts.
Goodness.
Welcome back to Stavanger, Norway, the 2021 World Open Equipped Powerlifting Championships, and we are into the deadlifts. We've got the 63 kilo women Group B and the 83 kilo men Group B, and it is a tough round.
Now, just before we go into this next round, we do have some good news from the bench press. We did say that we were expecting the Romanian lifter, Iramis coach, to go to the jury. He did do so. That was after our commentary had closed, but they have overturned his last attempt in a good way. That is a good lift, so he's on the board.
And he can still register a total.
Yep, 257.5 was his best bench press, and it was overturned by the jury.
So he gets in there by the skin of his teeth. We're a minute away from starting this round, and deadlifts, I mean, this is where you can add those extra kilos to that total. This is where you can now put everything you've got into it. You've been holding back, you've been conserving energy throughout. You know you've got to do 3 squats. You know you've got to do 3 bench. Now you know you're at the end of it. You can give it everything you've got to finish off and get as much on that board as you possibly can. And it is heating up. And of course, these guys have got to put their numbers on the board. These girls and guys have got to put their numbers on the board. And they've got to sit back and wait till this evening. Be watching Group A to see if any of their numbers have got them into the medals for any of these lifts. It's going to be tough for them.
It is. They're going to be, well, there aren't any couches here in the venue, but they are going to be doing the equivalent of hiding behind the couch and peeping round to see what's going on.
And of course, a big shout out to, I mean, obviously the IPF for putting these competitions together, and Lico and SBD for always standing behind this sport and so many other sports and so many athletes as well. They do amazing work behind the scenes. I mean, obviously we see all their equipment, but the amount of work they do behind the scenes is absolutely phenomenal as well.
That's true. So we are starting with the 63 kilo ladies B group. Deadlifts, first weight on the bar is 145 kilos for Megan Layton, Republic of South Africa. South Africa's youngest current Category 1 referee, and quite an accomplished lifter as well.
So 145 to get the ball rolling. And that should be a nice opening lift. It is.
It is.
It's just quite an interesting technique, the way she sets herself up and then just reaches down and starts the pull.
I was wondering whether she was having trouble reaching the bar, but no, she just set herself up that way and then went right, grabbed it, pulled it.
Yeah, look, everyone's a little bit different. It's really tough sometimes to deadlift and get that big air in with a belt and bend down.
Yeah.
So quite often, sometimes you'll see the setup, the big breath in, and then quickly get down and grab the bar.
Yeah, grab it before it realizes what happened. So, Mjøen Divet, 150 kilos, also Republic of South Africa. And no drama there at all.
Nice opening lift.
Yep, very good for Divet. So 190 for Laura Salita of Italy. Cannot put up a total, unfortunately. Did not get her bench press, and she had quite the drama getting there as well. She effectively pressed the same weight 4 times and didn't get it.
Yeah, look, and this is a really tough thing for an athlete to come out and do this. I mean, you can't register a total. You've missed all 3 lifts in the bench press. You've come off the bench press and all you want to do is pack your bag and go home. It takes a lot of courage to get out here and put on a show as well. But it's a great experience. I mean, you take away so many things. I said to someone today that every competition I go to, be it as a coach or a commentator, I learn something new every time.
Every single time.
And I've been involved for decades now. Yeah, I don't want to talk about numbers because people might know how old I am.
Probably just a couple of decades, right? Yeah, I think we'll say that. So, oh.
Well, that was really rather interesting. And I see the coach having a good look at the bar, making sure it's not a misload.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No, I can see the same number of red plates both sides. It just didn't move at one end at all. That's
really
very
quite
strange.
odd.
Yeah, you can see her going, what?
So very odd there. She just didn't seem to kick in that right-hand side for some reason. There can be a number of reasons behind that.
Well, we've got just under 4 minutes to talk about that, so
Well,
we're
it's interesting because, I mean, we do see a lot of occasions. I mean, there could even be a problem with her deadlift suit as well. I mean, one of the little loops might have been quite a bit looser on one side. Something might have come loose along the way.
sure.
You know, so there's a number of things that could have gone wrong. I mean, it looks very odd when that happens, but
Sure.
in
I mean,
lifting, these things do actually happen.
My thought was a misload. My thought was there's 4 reds on one end and 3 on the other.
Well, the coach thought the same thing because he had a good,
Yeah.
he had a good stare at the bar on the way past. The other thing we look at in deadlift, and we talked about reaching down really quickly to grab that bar and taking that big breath of air. It's really difficult. And you'll see throughout the day, and tonight you'll see a lot of guys and girls on the deadlift wearing their belts in very different positions, and that is really just to sort of adjust for how they take their breath in.
I wonder whether she didn't quite have the bar gripped symmetrically, maybe, and so she was effectively having it balanced a little bit differently.
Look, it's entirely possible. I mean, if you rush your setup or you're not focused on your setup as well, you know, anything can sort of happen like that. But we will have 2 minutes, and then they'll be back for their next round, of course, as well. The IPF International Powerlifting Federation, the leading world or international federation when it comes to powerlifting. We have, I think, 150 member nations now, or something along those lines.
Yep.
It just continues and continues to grow, and it grows because of the support of coaches, athletes, the people that put all these competitions, the people that work behind the scenes, the IPF president Gaston Parage, you know, the Asian president Fashid Sultani, you know, all these people working behind the scenes to help and continue the growth of powerlifting. Alico, SBD standing behind athletes, listening to athletes, listening to coaches, listening to referees before they design equipment. The SBD belt that we talk about so much came out of listening to athletes saying, we need a belt that we can actually adjust better, because I've got to come to a competition with a belt for my squat. I've got to come to a competition with another belt for my bench press, and then another one for my deadlift, because I can't adjust it quickly. I've got to unscrew it. So they built a belt that I can adjust,
that you can actually adjust
for every lift.
Yeah, because otherwise you're as you say, you're having to unscrew it. That shortens the life of the belt. The SBD belt, the buckle is the real key design, but also that 13 mil leather that makes. I've shown people this belt before, and I've said to them, look, okay, I'm warning you, if you put this belt on, you will not want to take it off, and you will buy one. Yeah,
look, and I'm a bench-only athlete. I mean, I don't squat anymore. I still love to deadlift, but unfortunately I can't squat. I might actually quite often change the position of my belt from bench to bench. So it's not set on the same setting every single time. So, you know, that allows me to do that. If I was using another belt, I would have to have 3 or 4 different belts for my training, or I'd have to change it and unscrew it every time. So companies like Alico and SBD that are standing behind these sports are listening to what the sport wants.
You're right. So, in just over 10 seconds, we are going to have run the 4 minutes. The reason that we have that 4 minutes is because of the small size of this B group. There's only 3 ladies in it, so they get a 4-minute gap. Time is up, so we're going to load the bar to 155 kilos now for Megan Layton of South Africa. 10 kilo jump from our opener of 145.
Yeah, I think that should be absolutely fine. It'll be a nice personal best for her, but the way the 145 moved, I think 155, you know, a 10 kilo jump on a deadlift is not anything unheard of. It's quite a normal sort of jump from first to second.
Perfectly reasonable. She's looking very focused.
Just giving the bar a quick clean. That painted waffle knurling on the Alico bar is wickedly grippy, but it does, you know, like all bars, it does build up with a bit of chalk over the day, so they give it a bit of a clean out. If you've never held on to an Alico bar, I recommend you go somewhere that has Alico bars and hold one. That knurling is absolutely wicked. It certainly doesn't feel soft like a waffle.
No. The waffle reference is, of course, because that's where Eleiko got their start. They initially made waffle irons and have moved into making all manner of steel products, largely for power sports. And there she goes. She's grabbed that bar before it knows what's going on and pulled it.
That's right, and it should be a good lift.
It is.
Yeah, look, if you get a chance, Google the whole Eleiko waffle iron story, because it's actually quite a unique story how they moved into the production of weight lifting equipment and powerlifting equipment.
Yeah, they've got a whole wall dedicated to it at the Eleiko Sports Centre in Halmstad in Sweden. A great history. So 157.5 on the bar now for Mian Divet of South Africa. 7.5 kilo jump. Shouldn't be outside the realms of possibility, this at all. Yeah.
Yeah, very nicely done.
Perfectly reasonable.
She's having a great day. 15 years old.
3 white lights for her.
And here competing in the World Championships.
So Laura Salita, 190 for the second time of asking.
And of course, should also point out that Laura is also still in the juniors, and she's also here competing in the opens as well.
Yeah, now that was a really weird pull on the first one. It lifted at one end, it didn't lift at the other. Hopefully she's worked out what went wrong, because I haven't. And,
yeah, look,
and
I
she's
think
going
we'll
to
find it
rise
was
above.
probably a little bit of an adjustment in the suit.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, look, I think she's really
Great that
struggling with that
time.
right arm.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's really the right arm, obviously the grip, but I think it's more the hip and getting the power out. I think she's just
I think
really worn down now.
I think the grip is more of a symptom. Bear in mind that she did attempt her bench press 4 times.
She's thrown
it's going
in
to
that
take a
extra
lot
bench
out.
press in there. It's taken its toll.
So yeah, we have the World Games logo on the screen here. The powerlifting will be at the World Games in Birmingham, Alabama, USA. Not the Birmingham that Jazvinder Singh is from. That is going to be, I think that's in June, isn't it? And that is July. It's in July.
You were very close. It started with J.
It started with J. It's in the summer. We are looking forward to that event. That is a good showcase for powerlifting at the World Games. I think the event lasts for 2 weeks. I think we've got a couple of days of powerlifting. I'm looking forward to that very much.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. You know, showcasing powerlifting, the best of the best at the World Games. And of course here, you know, this week as well during competition, a lot of these people are trying to get selected for the World Games as well.
That's it, because I think this is a qualifier for the World Games.
Yeah, so,
isn't it?
you know, throughout this week, there's more than just World Championships on the line here. These guys and girls are here not just to win World Championships, but to qualify for one of the biggest events of the year is that World Games.
That's right. So we have 2.5 minutes left.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is a tough round. Like, you know, for Salita, is really hard. I mean, she did that 4th bench, and that is clearly taking its toll. You know, and she came out for that first deadlift, and it was, you know, just one side just didn't want to move. She came out the second time, the right-hand side moved, but nowhere near as well.
And let's not forget that she's also tried the she's also failed 2 squats as well, and it's a lot harder to fail a lift than it is to pull it. It takes
there
a
is
lot more out
work
of you.
involved.
Yeah.
So she, you know, and it really looked on that second attempt on the deadlift, it just looks like, you know, that one side of body is maybe worked a little bit harder throughout the day, and now it's really taking its toll. The grip came loose, which is more, you know, as you said, a symptom of everything else going on.
That's right.
But we'll see. I mean, she might find what she needs for that 3rd lift. Getting that 1 on the board might be enough motivation to, you know, put it all together and get it on the board finally. She's had a tough day. I take my hat off to her coming out after that bench and putting an attempt on. And she came out for that second attempt on deadlift as well after everything went wrong on the first one.
Yeah. So
You know,
I hope she gets this last one. It's going to be a big confidence booster for her if she does so.
yeah, look, 22 years of age. She's still in juniors.
Yeah.
You know, she's got an enormous career ahead of her.
At the absolute minimum, she's going to go away from this having learned a lot.
Yeah, look, I mean, we talk about learning from competitions all the time, but you actually learn a lot from your failures.
You do.
You know, when you walk into a comp and you get all your lifts all the time, yeah, you learn a lot from world experience, but you learn so much more from your failures. I worked with an athlete several years back, and he bombed all his 3 squats, you know, on his first world championship event. I hadn't been coaching him before. I was handling him on the day. Things went wrong. We talked about it. We got him out for his next ones. He got him out for his deadlifts, and he did really well. I coached him for several months into nationals that following year, and he hit all his goals at nationals simply because he'd learnt so much from that world championship event. He'd learnt so much from his failures that he was a completely different lifter. Suddenly he had this renewed and different attitude towards what he was doing.
It's all about the long game, isn't it? So 160 is on the bar now for Megan Layton of South Africa. 5 kilo jump.
Yeah, look, she did the 10 kilo jump between the first and the second, then the smaller 5 kilo jump to the third. You know,
Again, it's all about doing what you're capable of, doing what you know you can do. We're cleaning the bar, obviously, which is
yeah, so on your
IPF rules.
Yeah, on the third lift, bar gets clean between each lift. And you're right, it's about doing what you can, what you know you can do. And this third lift is one of the toughest of the day because you are, at this point, you
You're
are
tired.
really running out of steam.
Yeah. It's all very well going, I've done this in the gym, but have you done that in the gym after maxing out on squat and maxing out on bench? Not always.
Yeah.
Not everybody trains all 3
and
lifts.
And then add in there 20 minutes to get changed and do your warm-ups as
True.
well.
Yeah. And she's refereed, and she's taken her Cat 1 exam and passed it. It's all going to take its toll.
Oh, it's a tough squeeze at
Tough
the top.
lockout.
It's
She's
still
still
going,
going.
though.
She got the down command.
She got the command. Did she get the lock?
She
does.
did.
Well done.
Oh, yes. She's definitely put out a good account of herself today, has Megan. And I would say that is absolutely perfectly
any more
judged.
than that, I think would have struggled. 5 kilos was a very good choice.
It's a good thing it's winter, because if a fly had landed on that bar, that might have upset the apple cart. So, Mian Devet, 162.5 kilos for her third attempt. I think 157.5 didn't look difficult at all.
She is going to have a huge career, this young girl. 15 years of age.
Second generation lifter. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that was a very convincing lockout as well.
No problem. Okay, so Laura Salita. She's not had the best day.
Yeah,
She's
look,
coming
she
out for this
is
third attempt at 190 kilos.
You know, my heart absolutely goes out for her. It is a tough day. And I got to tell you, she is a tough character. She's coming out for this final lift. She is behind the 8 ball. She is probably feeling like all she wants to do is curl up inside her kit bag so no one can see her. But she is out here. She is going to give it everything she's got for her last attempt. The crowd wants her to get this.
They do. Nobody
Everyone
wants to see
her to
anybody
get
fail.
this. Every other athlete in this house wants her to get this.
Most of all us. Come on, Laura.
She has got a huge heart and a huge future.
I hope she's got a huge deadlift too. Come on.
Oh, it's almost there. Has she got it?
Command, but I don't think she'd locked it out when she got the
Oh,
command.
unfortunately, 2 red lights. but I've got to take my hat off. She lifted that after everything she's been through today. She got it off the floor, and it was just a little bit soft on the knees. That was the only issue there.
Yeah.
What an effort.
I mean, she's obviously not wanting to do a fourth attempt. I think if she tried that again, it might have gone, but that's not what she wants to do.
I think if you offered her a fourth attempt, I think she'd probably,
yes,
you might have an accident.
I might have an accident that I set up myself, yes.
Well, we move straight into the men's now because that was the end of the deadlifts for the 63 kilo women. So we move straight into the men's 83 kilo deadlift now.
This is Andrei Iremi of Romania. Now, it's a really weird distribution of weights, isn't it? His squat was 220. His bench, which was overturned on the last attempt, was 257.5. He's coming out for a 180 deadlift.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting distribution, and I think it's really a reflection of how he's training and how he's developed along the way.
Now, that's an easy lift, but when you look how far that bar went, I can see why deadlift isn't necessarily his favourite. However, 3 white lights and a good lift for him. So, Miquel Ugandi of Estonia is coming out for 190 now. Now, he's only been competing for a couple of years.
Yeah, he has got plenty of development ahead of him.
Still probably in the newbie gains arena, I would say, at 2 years competing.
Yeah, look, it's hard to say. I mean, it depends on how long people have been training for as well. I mean, you see a lot of people that have actually been working a lot behind the scenes and then decide, yeah, you know what, I want to have a go and get into competition.
He might have come from another sport as well, because a lot of the time people do strength training for other sports, and then they go, actually, do you know what, I quite like this strength training. Is there some way that I can just compete with the weights? And they'll find weightlifting, they'll find powerlifting.
Well, he has a very, very smooth deadlift. That was smooth all the way to the top.
Yeah, no problem there. Nice lift for him. 210, next weight. This is for Jazvinder Singh, Great Britain.
The bar is loaded for Chima, 210 kilos.
So 210 on the bar.
Yep. The most experienced lifter in this group. Let's see what you got, Jazz. See how that is? Yep.
Yeah,
Good
3
lift.
white lights.
So this is Tom Saunders now. 220 kilos. Now I think we're gonna fly through this group because deadlifts always move a lot faster, and we've got a great platform crew here who are loading.
Yeah, it has its plus sides and its downsides. I mean, for the athletes, all of a sudden it's a lot quicker turnaround.
I've heard it described, and I can see the analogy here of it being like an F1 pit stop, where before the bar has even stopped moving, really, they've got the collars off, the next weight on, and they've got it loaded. But the athletes are probably actually going, guys, just take it easy.
Yeah, we have had plenty of occasions where the replays are still rolling and the next athlete's walking onto the platform. Oh, got a little bit off center at the top there, but he
lean
recovered.
Forward, but did the bar dip?
It has.
It did indeed dip. We got
Let's have a look at
blues
the
for
replay.
Saunders.
He just gets a little bit off center at the top.
It's just a balance thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really tough thing with sumo. You really do sacrifice balance at the top of the lift, and it does cause problems, particularly when you start getting tired.
That's true. So 240 kilos on the bar now for Renzo Santellices of Ecuador.
And of course, another gentleman that cannot register a total.
But he's out here getting all the experience he can at deadlifting on the world stage. There is nowhere harder. Wherever the world stage happens to be at any particular time, there is no tougher crucible, melting pot, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, look, and getting these lifts in is really important for his next world competition as well.
You can't buy this experience. You can't, give yourself a tough time at the gym and have a load of people staring at you and think that that's the same. It really isn't. He's taking his time.
And
That's
that looks
good.
good from this angle. It is.
Built to deadlift. I think if we're going to get a replay here, if you watch how far this bar doesn't move, I mean, that's just above the knee.
Yeah, he's done a very good job with that. Sets himself up very well.
So Ludvig Moen of Norway, 240 kilos for him.
No introduction required. We could hear the crowd start to yell already.
Gamieno, which I think is Norwegian for come on.
I did like the look at the end of that lift. Gets it to the top.
Yeah.
Gives that slight look of thank you very much.
Yep. Nice lift there. So Mattias V Perry of Finland, 265 for him.
$265.
Nowhere near his PB, or nowhere near his stated PB anyway, which is, I believe, 300.
And you see the big Finnish man coaching him in the corner. Lots of experience there. He's been jumping between coaching and refereeing all week.
Well, there's nothing like keeping busy. Oh, no, you could see him start to...
Yeah, he started in a bad position there. We'll
he did.
probably
He was
see the replay.
too far over.
His shoulders were in front of the bar.
Not where you want to be.
So, you know, the good thing about that is that's an easy fix. You know, you just need to sit back into it a little bit more, get those shoulders behind the bar before you start pulling. That was just a bit of rushing that first deadlift.
I think so, yeah. So here comes Manuel Gonoman of Germany, 285 for his opener.
So puts this on the board. That'll give him a personal best in regard to his personal best total.
Oh, that's looking hard.
And gets to lock out there. That was the
Yeah,
tough opener.
I wasn't sure we were going to
It's
see
on the
that, but
board.
he's 2-1. That's a good
Really
lift for him.
interesting to watch his second one. I mean, we do see people that just every deadlift looks hard.
I mean, I'm not surprised it looked hard. It was 285 kilos.
Yeah, if you're not sure about that, roll into your local gym, load 285 onto a bar and see if you can actually move it off the floor.
Yeah, you're going to be looking for the magnets and the Velcro because it ain't going to move. 290 now. This is for Mikhail Dal of Denmark. Interesting approach, just a little bit hyperventilation, get the blood oxygenated. Because you do quite often see people almost pass out at the top of a deadlift. It takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, very much so. And
good lift for him anyway.
And the more exertion you've done throughout the day, the more likely that is to happen. If you're in the gym and you've just done some deadlifts, you know, it's usually pretty fine. At the end of a competition, you're on that last couple of deadlifts, that's when you really start to notice it.
Now, what about this? Yee Heng Wu, 310 kilos.
He has had a great, he has missed only one lift today.
Yep.
And his technique has looked on point.
And that was only because his butt came up on his last bench. His last bench looked as easy as his first one to me. Very composed.
And again, great technique.
Can't fault him there. I like the little pat on the weights. That's a throwback to Fedosienko from yesterday. He does that too. And whatever Fedosienko does is not a bad thing, in my opinion.
Well, it works for him, so.
It sure does. So, Andrei Iremi, Romania, 200 kilos for his second attempt.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. I mean, he's 31 years of age. He's been competing for 9 years. Really interested to watch this guy over the next several years as well. His bench has obviously developed well. And you watch over the next couple of years how his squat and his deadlift begin to develop too. And it's quite typical in powerlifting. You know, we're really good at one, we're okay at another, and then, you know, this one's not for us.
Yeah. Now, my coach said to me, you've got a disadvantage in all 3 lifts. This is why I've retired.
Is that because your arms are 3 meters long?
Yeah. Okay, let's see what you've got, Irami. 200 kilos.
Oh, he's struggling to lock there.
Now, is he going to get called for supporting? Yes,
Yeah.
he is. Oh, is that soft knees?
His knees never really locked. His hips never really locked. He supported.
I don't think his shoulders went back either. So
Yeah.
you can pick your failure there, unfortunately, for Irami on his second. He has got one in.
Yeah, he's got one on the board. He's got a total registered.
202.5. This is for Miquel Ugandi, Estonia.
Taking his time, and of course with the deadlift you don't have to wait for a start command. You can lift it whenever you're ready within that minute.
Once the bar is loaded, you can approach the platform. Once you've started the lift, it's you've got all the time in the world, but realistically you haven't got all the time in the world when you've got this much weight in your hands.
Yeah, you want to be holding that for the least amount of time as possible.
You absolutely do, yeah. Good lift for him. 3 white lights. So Tom Saunders now didn't get 220. Just really because of a slight tilt forward of the shoulders, which caused the bar to dip. I don't think this is going to be a problem.
Yeah, no, I
for
think
him.
he's made the right decision. He's kept the weight the same. I think it's a really good call. It's not like bench where you can do a lot. He's a little bit more fired up this time. That'll help him with the energy levels at the top.
You just got to lean back with it and keep that weight under control.
That
I
looks
think
better.
that's exactly what he's done. Yes.
Yeah, that's more like it. 3 white lights.
Good lad. No problem for Tom this time. I mean, in hindsight, you could probably have gone up, but hindsight is a wonderful thing.
I think he made the really wise decision there of keeping the weight.
I think so.
He knows he can lift it. He already lifted it. He knows he can pull that through. It was just a case of getting the balance right. Had he put a couple more kilos on, yeah, he could probably lift it, but does it have the same impact on the balance?
And the nastiest thing you can do in the world is go, oh, no, I'm just going to put some extra weight on, and then you find it's too heavy. No, I think you're right. 225 now. This is Jazvinder Singh Chima, Great Britain. Britain following Britain. He's giving that bar a look. Didn't move quickly, but there was no stall in there whatsoever. That's a good lift for Jazz.
Very nicely done.
Okay, so Renzo Santellices of Ecuador is coming out for 255. He's put 15 kilos on from his last attempt. Just getting set up. Hands covered in chalk to make sure that he's going to not let go of it.
Oh, just got a little bit too far forward.
Yeah, just overbalanced.
And once that shifts forward, it's very difficult to regain control. Yeah, you can see his knees sort of locked a little bit too fast there, and that enabled him to sort of lean forward a little bit.
I wonder if it was just a little bit too heavy. Well, I mean, his PB's more than that, so we'll see in the third round. Ludvig Moen, Norway, 255 kilos on the bar for him. I think we've just cleaned it. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, you do get the wire brush with your Eleiko bar, should you buy one. A worthwhile investment for anyone considering powerlifting.
Very expensive wire brush, but it comes with a free Eleiko bar.
Cheap at half the price. That's same as the last one for Moen. Very confident. Nice lift for Ludwig Moen.
265 for Matthias V Perry, Gonoman, Dahl, and
And Mattias V Perry of Finland now coming out for 265. Now, he didn't get this last time. And it was just, you think the shoulders were ahead, were in front of the bar.
He just needs to sit back a little bit further, get those shoulders behind. But, yeah, look, he's got great experience coaching him in the corner there. He's going to know exactly what to have said to him to put in the right position.
Yeah, I mean, he probably walked off the platform knowing exactly what he'd done wrong. Yeah.
And look at the difference.
Yeah.
3 white lights.
I mean, we say about deadlift, it's just a case of walk out and pick it up, but there's still plenty of technique there, especially in sumo.
Yeah, very good. Big difference. Gets it on the board.
Sumo, by the way, if you're not understanding what we're talking about, obviously this is not wrestling, but it is the wide stance deadlift. So Manuel Gonoman, 295 kilos for his second attempt, 285, didn't give him any problems. Hopefully we will see a good lift from him. Oh, a little bit too heavy.
Yeah, just didn't want to shift.
No.
Getting to the end of the day. You know, body's starting to wear down a bit. It's taking its toll.
It's been a long day, and it's hard lifting in the afternoon as opposed to the morning.
He made a good decision there. He didn't put too much into it.
Yeah.
He's going, you know what?
It's not moving. I'm not going to waste a lot of time.
I'll take it on a third.
300 kilos on the bar now for Mikhail Dal of Denmark. Again, his last one didn't seem to give him too much trouble. We see that trademark setup.
Oh, I don't think he's going to get this one through the books. I'm not sure. Will he get pulled for supporting? He does.
He did, yeah. So that is when we're watching the replay here. He's kind of pushed the bar with his thighs a little bit as he's locked it out. That's a shame.
Yeah, it was borderline, but it was there. So we've got 325 on the bar now.
This is for Yee Heng Wu, Chinese Taipei. See how this moves for him. It's a 15-kilo jump. Again, that's pretty standard at this weight category.
And that
that's
should
fine.
be good as well.
Yeah, no problem there. Now, I didn't say that his previous one moved too badly because I'm moved very well because I'm very conscious of the commentator's curse, but that was a good lift for Wu. So 200 kilos on the bar now for Andre Irimi as we move into the third
he
round.
missed this on his second. This is the final round, so the bar will get cleaned between each lift to ensure every athlete has the exact same advantage.
So there were all sorts of issues with his last attempt, so hopefully he's just going to iron those out. Rip this one up.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. You get to the end here and you're really running out of steam.
Come on, Andre. Pull it up. Come on, people. Last deadlift on this World Championships of Stavanger.
So he's just composing himself. Got hold of the bar. Conventional style deadlift. And I think that looked a lot better.
Looked a lot better, and
Yep.
it is.
Good lift for him. 3 white lights. So he did. He made all his mistakes.
He locked a lot.
On the
He
second
locked
attempt.
out that time.
And he got it right on the third. Good to see. Really good to see. So we are now going to go to Miquel Ugandi of Estonia with 210 kilos. This will be a PB for him. He exceeded his stated PB with 202.5 on his third, so this will push a clear
210
10
will
over
be
the
a
top.
really nice way for him to finish. He's had a pretty good day today. Things have gone pretty well. This will push him over into a personal best total as well. He's equaled his personal best total of 532.5. This will give him a 548. And if you can get a personal best anything on the world stage, you're having a good day.
That's true.
Oh, not quite there.
No. Dipped. Decided to have another try. I mean, after all, it is his third deadlift, but no. No lift on
No
his third
joy,
attempt.
I'm afraid.
Okay, Jazvinder Singh Chima, 235 for his third attempt.
So 235 in the bar, 225 went well.
Let's hope this is just another day in the office for Jazz. And he's saved that intensity. We've not seen him shout before. So he's just building that up. Let's see what you've got, Jazz. Just like the last ones. Come on.
Oh, just didn't want to come up past the knees there.
I was moving very, very slowly.
Yeah, look, but you can really see the whole day takes its toll.
240 for Tom Saunders.
Yeah, the last deadlift, you're often moving into foreign territory. You've not lifted this weight before, or you haven't lifted that weight for quite some time.
For a while, yeah. 240 now for Tom. He's taken a 20-kilo jump from 220. He didn't get it on the first occasion, but I think that was just a slight technique
it's
issue.
a pretty hefty jump, 220 to 240.
He's taken no prisoners with the way he's coming to the platform, certainly. There's quite a lot of the British coaching team in the wings shouting at him.
And can he squeeze it to lock out? He can't.
Unfortunately not. So his best deadlift remains at 220. In retrospect, that was maybe a little heavy, but he was maybe trying to recover something that he lost by missing the first one. So 255 now for Renzo Santellices. He got 240 on his first attempt. He failed this on his second.
Yeah, he's going to have to dig deep for this one. He's had a rough day. He can't register a total. It takes a lot to come out here on this last lift.
Now, it just looked too heavy last time, but a little twitch in technique can make a lot of difference. So let's see what he's got.
He's taking his time. He needs to find, that extra gear somewhere. Oh, just couldn't quite get it there. You could see he was losing his grip.
Again, just a little bit too heavy, unfortunately. I know that's an obvious reason why you might fail something, but there are so many other reasons why you might. That if it was too heavy, sometimes that's the best outcome. Ludwig Moen now, 262.5.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit of a personal best for him, and if he gets this on the board, it will equal his best total as well.
And you can hear the Norwegian thunderstorm starting as he comes out.
Yeah, I don't think we need to introduce Norwegian lifters anymore. We think we just turn the microphone to the crowd and
Yeah.
you'll know who's coming.
Combination of stamping and shouting "Kom igjen," and you know that it's a Norwegian lifter. Oh. Just too heavy.
Yeah, just
let go of it.
Couldn't get the grip he needed.
And I think that was quite a mature decision to just go, no, this isn't moving.
Yeah, he was a little bit out of position there. His shoulders weren't as back as they really needed to be. So that double overhand hook grip didn't really give him the biomechanical edge.
No. And of course it hurts like anything. So once it's not moving, you want to let go of it.
Yeah, look, it's a really interesting grip. I mean, if you can do it successfully, there are a number of advantages. One, it puts the bicep tendon in a much more protected position. And number two, there is a slight biomechanical advantage, ever so slight, about the direction of pull as well.
That's right, because otherwise if you're doing, if you've got one hand one way, one hand the other, then you're slightly twisted. Anyway, 275 is on the bar now for Matthias V Perry of Finland. 3 lifts remain in this session. The B group, 83 kilos. The A's will start at 7 p.m. local time, Central European time.
What do the referees say? It's a good lift. He gets
2 to 1.
One red light there, and I think that was for a soft knee.
I think so, yeah, because you can see that in the replay. But good lift for Viperi. So we're loading the bar to 300 now. This is for Mikhail Dal. He did not get this on his last attempt, but it was just lockout.
Yeah, look, he opened at 290, moved to 300, 10 kilo jump, not huge. And now he's got the 300 on there again. Just needs to find the extra. It's really hard to find the extra gear at this point, particularly when, you know, no one said, you know, look, if you pull 300, you've got a medal. Suddenly you find an extra gear.
That's the thing, yeah, because the temptation is great when there's an actual medal on the line. I mean, there might be, but we're not going to know until the A group have lifted. However,
yeah, not today. Just a bit too much.
Unfortunately.
And we come to the last lift now.
Yee Heng Wu, Chinese Taipei, 330 kilos for him.
He has had an absolutely magnificent day.
Now this is going to be a 9.5 kilo PB for him.
32 years of age, 5 years competing. His squat form was fantastic. His bench technique is fantastic. His deadlift technique has been fantastic as well.
Long may it continue.
Has a huge career ahead of him.
Very, very impressive lifter. Very, very impressive. Let's hope this one is just like the others.
You know, it is 16 kilos shy of the world record. It may be enough to put him in medal contention for the deadlifts later this evening.
Could be. Well, I will be watching that with bated breath, as I hope you guys at home will be too.
Oh, just couldn't quite pull that. Just got his timing a little bit wrong, but he has had an absolutely fantastic day, and he'll finish on 325 and a total of 735. And Perry has finished on a total of 840, which puts him in a pretty good position, actually. Not too bad at all. Well, don't go too far away. At 7 p.m., we will be back here with the A group for the 63 kilo women and the 83 kilo men.
Don't go anywhere.